Trump is threatening to blow up Oman. Oh my God. Let's start there. Trump is back. He's going crazy. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to do a BRB screen real quick and fix this fucking thing, because if I don't, I will lose my goddamn mind. Okay? So BRB. We're back. Camera's supposed to be fixed. We'll see. Oh, okay. Your sports coat looks very spiffy. I'm sure the grandma's watching you will think you're a very fine young man. Okay, we're back. And we're good. We're freaking good. Okay. My mom called me the R word. Oh, that's strange. Unc, you're too old to be getting this mad. Your heart can't take it. It's true. This is why New York is better. Yes, it's also true. Fix your suit. Shut the fuck up. Suit's fine. All right. Yeah, it's Obama tan suit time. All right. So where were we? Oh, that's right. We were talking about Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America. Donald Trump is back. The long 3-day long weekend is over, and Donald Trump is back, and better than ever. He's got a lot on his mind, and I guess one of the things that he has on his mind is specifically death and destruction. That's what is on his mind all the time. And he's here to tell you all about it. Let's take a look.
Would you accept a short-term deal that allows Iran and Oman to control the strait? And would they have to open it immediately, or would you be open to that happening over a period of time?
No, the strait's going to be open to everybody.
And who would control it?
It's international waters. Nobody's going to control it. We're going to watch over it. We'll watch over it, but nobody's going to control it. That's part of the negotiation that we have. They would like to control it. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up. They understand that. They'll be fine.
Incredible. Incredible. Fuck it. Fuck it, we ball. Okay? I love that. I love that Donald Trump was like, you know what? Out of all of the countries in the region, in the Gulf region, let's put the crosshairs on the one country that is known for being chillers, that is like actively trying to be the Switzerland in the region, you know? Yeah. If out of all the Gulf states, fuck it, we'll blow up Oman. I don't even understand what this man is saying and doing anymore. And quite frankly, I don't think he knows either. I don't know if this was like a instance where he was actually talking about Iran and accidentally said Oman, or if he means like, Oman presents a threat to the deal because they're like too neutral on the Israel stuff. I don't know if that's the case or not, but very cool stuff. Obviously, this is why I said I won't believe the ceasefire is happening until, the ships are pulling out and the ink has dried on the paper. And this is part of the reason why I said that, because I understand that there is no ceasefire if Israel doesn't want there to be a ceasefire, right? And Israel certainly doesn't want a ceasefire. We've shown Itamar Ben-Gvir talk about how this is a bad deal for us, so it won't happen. We've talked about how Benjamin Netanyahu has been chirping at America, making this ceasefire deal less likely to take place. So he's all over the place. He's all over the place with his inconsistent deal making, and it's really interesting because he's the one who also claims that Iran is in a state of panic, where the Iranian side, the Iranian negotiators are at odds, the reformers are at odds with the IRGC hardliners, and that seems not to be the case. This is yet another instance, I think, of Trumpian projection, where the more chaos exists on the Trump side on the deal, the more chaos exists between Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, the more he claims the Iranian negotiators are in a state of panic. Once again, I always find myself asking the question that Bill Clinton also rhetorically asked Benjamin Netanyahu, I believe, all the way back in the early 90s. Who's the fucking superpower here? Right? That's the question I have. Who is the superpower here? Is it Israel? Or is it the United States of America? Now, of course, the answer is simple. It is the United States of America. It's not Israel that is the superpower. However, America's not acting like it. So yeah, let's continue.
Talks on the uranium, or
No.
is the only option in
No,
your
the
mind
basics.
one
No,
for?
I would for some of it, because it's a memorandum of understanding for speed. And one of the things that will happen is the strait will open immediately. But it's got to be perfect. I'm not going to do this. I didn't do this to get a crummy agreement. The worst agreement ever signed was by Barack Hussein Obama. What a horrible agreement that was. It was a setback for this country.
I can't help but notice that Trump loves doing this thing where he brings up the actual pivotal achievements of his his predecessors that were unbelievably successful even on their own, and certainly infinitely more successful in comparison to what he's doing. Because there's no way out of this bargaining process where Trump secures a better deal than Barack Hussein Obama did. Okay? There isn't, because Iran has won things militarily. At the time, America had maximum leverage when Barack Obama went to the table and secured the JCPOA. That time is long past. Trump mentioned Oman because Bagheri announced that Iran and Oman are working on a framework for... Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah. So that's where we're at. I don't even understand why he makes a big deal out of... I don't even understand why Donald Trump makes a big deal out of the toll thing, because that's an inevitability. Something fell behind me. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but it doesn't matter. Jesus Christ. Ghosts. It's not ghosts. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah. The toll is an inevitability, which is precisely the reason why, if I'm Trump, I'm trying to deflect away from that. I'm trying to shift the attention away from the fact that there's a toll at all as quickly as possible. I'm trying to move away from that and to, hyper focus on the areas of concession that I could potentially extract out of this deal, the nuclear grade enriched uranium and, shipping and handling that uranium and how wonderful that's going to be, right? Steam Deck is now unbuyable? Wait, why? We Europeans being in a cooker with no AC, chief. I'm cooking in a fucking heat wave in Europe, chef. Steam Deck is now unbuyable now. What? Why? Oh, is it because of the Strait of Hormuz? Is that where all the Steam Decks are coming from? Yes, it's the thing dangling above the GameCube. Yes, you got it. So I think he perceives the tolls as a strategic failure optically because it shows that the situation in Hormuz is materially worse for everyone than pre-war. No, it doesn't have to be. It's only materially worse because Trump is refusing to concede. And the rest of the world knows that the only spoiler in this process, the rest of the world, if left to their own devices, would absolutely commit to a framework where Iran, they pay a toll to Iran, and Iran takes that as like reparations, Iran takes it as like restitution for all the assets that are frozen, right? Slowly but surely. And there's definitely a way to make that work. I believe the Iranian government has said, oh, this is not a toll. It's for environmental protection, right? If you want to like greenwash what this is, it's obviously a toll, but like they're calling it an environmental protection fee, right? So like they obviously understand the domestic considerations here, and they're trying to create a framework that works for everybody, that looks good for everybody, except Donald Trump either doesn't want to take the L on this, or he's ready to commit to taking the L on this, but Israel doesn't want Donald Trump to take any concessions whatsoever because Israel wants the war to continue. That's it.
For the whole world, the Middle East would have blown itself up. No, I would like to have the countries we were talking about, with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and the others, we'd like to have them.
I'm not kidding when I say this. this sounds a little crazy, and I know Iran probably would never be on board with this, but just to explain to you what could work if they just offered like a 1% kickback to America, just to make America feel like, just to make Trump feel like he's gotten something out of this. I can see Donald Trump saying, all right, we're down with this. This is a good deal. Like, Iran could just be like, listen, we collect a toll for environmental protection fee. We split it between Oman and Iran. Obviously, because this is Omani territorial waters and it's Iranian territorial waters. And in exchange for that, as America being like the hegemon that is responsible for keeping all matter of transit in this cryptocurrency or whatever, just you could pocket it, right? Like, you can just take the bribe. Please let the rest of the world go back to regular commerce. And I think Trump would be like, all right, that's fine. Sweeten the fucking deal. Throw a goddamn Trump Tower in there, okay? Trump Tower, Tehran. I swear to God, Donald Trump would be like, all right, let's do it. Because I know that all of the foreign adversaries that go into the deal-making process with Donald Trump will float the idea of a Trump Tower. You know, Trump Tower Havana in Cuba, Trump Tower Caracas, right? And Trump Tower Tehran. They all understand how the mafia boss operates. They know it's quid pro quo. Everybody understands it. It's unbelievably corrupt. And seemingly, nobody cares. Okay? No one cares. Like, literally, no one in America cares. None of the Trump supporters care, or they're at least like completely oblivious to it. And honestly, Trump is definitely taking advantage of the lack of legal protections, or seemingly the lack of interest surrounding holding this administration accountable. Now, obviously, one of the reasons why it's virtually impossible to hold this administration accountable is not because there's a tremendous power consolidation around the leadership in the MAGA movement, the Republican movement, but also because the Democrats don't have any motion. They don't control Congress. I would say that one of the things that I have noticed that I find to be particularly frustrating is that it almost feels like the media is also on board with this. Like, there's very little. I mean, there's coverage on it, right? Obviously, I'm not going to say that there's no coverage on it. There's certainly coverage on the corruption stuff. It's huge, but never to the same degree of smoke that even took place in like 2016, the first Trump administration. The first Trump tenure, he would do stuff like this. Never to this degree, okay? Never to this degree. I cannot explain to you how much he has leveled up his graft. And understandably, a lot of people were like, this is an aberration. This is ridiculous. This is not how we operate. You're supposed to create like shell corporations and work through subsidiaries if you want to do corruption. Look at the fucking Clinton Foundation. What are you doing? And this time around, Trump is just like, I'm corrupt. I love doing corruption. It's an order of magnitude similar to the coverage on you, lol. Yeah. Yeah, there's more coverage on a fucking Twitch streamer than there is on like Trump's unbelievable corrupt machine that is this parasitic force sitting on top of this government and just sucking up whatever kind of value they can potentially suck up, like a goddamn Hoover vacuum, and just facilitating Trump's personal wealth. It's something that I'm personally very familiar with in Turkey, okay? Trump one was scoping out the joint. Yeah, he was just casing. He was just looking at the White House going, all right, we're going to put gold. We're going to put gold from Home Depot everywhere. But he was also casing the joint. He was literally looking around. He's like, I got a fence. I can ship some of this stuff. But it is pretty crazy. Now, new hat on display, by the way. Trump 250 hats. Make America great again. He gifted everyone this morning that was at this conference a 250th year anniversary hat and also a commemorative coin. Isn't that wonderful? God, this country, this fucking country, man. It is, yeah. It's incredibly gaudy. You're right. It is incredibly fucking gaudy, and you need that hat to fly international. True, I do need it. I need the hat bad. automatic entry into the country if they see me wearing that. They'll be like, oh, this guy's obviously a real fucking patriot. Wait a minute. It says here that you're a terrorist. Well, you're probably the good kind of terrorist, huh? Yeah, not the previous libtarded administration probably put you on the no-fly list. Yeah, step right ahead, sir. You seem like you're a January 6th veteran.
Immediately join and Steve Witkoff is working on that with Jared and some others, but would like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic if they do it. And I think they owe that to us, to be honest. I think, because that really would be a tremendous sign. And I think those countries owe it to us. Steve, are you going to get them to sign?
We're definitely pushing it, Mr. President.
I'm not sure we should make the deal if they don't sign. You want to know the truth? If they don't sign to join the Abraham Accords, I don't know that we have countries in there already. UAE, great countries, bold countries, and it's turned out to be so good, so effective, and so we're.
Buddy, UAE is our dog, okay, as a country. No disrespect to people who are stuck living in the United Arab Emirates, but like the leadership is completely servile to American interests. Not only are they completely servile, but like they've literally bought in. Like they bribed the Trump administration early on, which is ironically one of the things that I was talking about when I said this is an unbelievably corrupt administration. The United Arab Emirates, the Saudis as well, and even Qatar, which had not done so last time, they all got together and pumped Trump coin and his own investment opportunities fairly aggressively with the hopes that Trump would protect them. Now, of course, Trump hasn't really protected them at all yet, but now that they have bribed him so much, it's a sunk cost, right? They're bought in. They can't really do anything else. Yeah, Qatar gave a plane, but that's like nothing in comparison. Qatar gave a plane, which once again is nothing in comparison to like the amount of investment we're talking about, like direct investment we're talking about from the United Arab Emirates.
Requesting strongly that they join. It'll be great. It'd be great for Saudi Arabia. It'd be great for Qatar, Kuwait, the whole group.
So the Iran deal might be contingent on more countries joining.
I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to give you.
And dumbfuck MAGA supporters will still be like, well, Trump, excuse me, I'll have you know, Trump, my big, beautiful president, he doesn't take a salary. And it's like, yeah, dude, all right. So what? Trump's net worth is nearly tripled in his second term, reaching $6.5 billion. It's incredible. And then look, cat turd, cry more. Buddy, your net worth didn't triple. Trump's net worth tripled. Okay? He's corrupt. He's doing corruption. You're so fucking stupid. What is your buy-in? This doesn't make any sense. Why are you excited? Why are you stoked for Trump tripling his net worth with unearned power that he has, like with the exploitation of his office, the presidency? I understand many Republicans don't think, period. And some of them that do think that the establishment is corrupt anyway, right? So fuck it, destroy it. Fine. But that destruction is supposed to, I don't know, have some downstream consequences for you that are positive. Donald Trump's corruption is only enriching himself. So why are you celebrating it? This doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, my team is winning. It's like, little bro, you're not a part of the team. Where is the buy-in? Where is the return on your investment? None of this makes sense, but it's unfortunately a reality that we have to deal with because, as I keep repeatedly mentioning, MAGA is a cult. It is a cult, and not a particularly intelligent cult, not a particularly sophisticated cult, just a cult nonetheless, but a very stupid one. So, unfortunately, this is one of the problems with this design, where people are so invested in Trump being as corrupt as possible that they humiliate themselves. Okay? They just released the new New York Penn Station renders, and it looks like they modified it to appeal to him. Gold in the interior and his name etched into the concrete. Wait, what? Exclusive renderings of Penn Station's overhaul show Trump's name with presidential seal. Wait, what? The winning plan to rebuild Penn Station features renderings of a new train hall with American flags at the entrance, gold accented railings, and columns and escalators. Okay, I don't mind this. It's not as gaudy, but like the fact that it has Trump's name etched into it is disgusting. Okay, the moment he's out, we got to rip those apart. You didn't know about this? No, I didn't. Just take it out once he's out. Yeah, we got to rip those. We got to chip away at that. Like, yeah, you know how, you know, in like the period of denazification, they took out all of they etched out all of like the you know, Nazi insignia that was on the side of the buildings and shit. Like, that's what we got to do to everything that is Trump related. Get Zoran on the phone right now. Okay. First of all, Zoran probably suggested it. Okay, he was like, Mr. President, if you allow some federal funding to come to New York so we can build some fucking housing, like, you can name whatever you want to name, you know? You're my goat. Yeah, also, speaking of Zoran, he's been making a lot of interesting choices. Okay, before we get back to Trump, let's talk about Zoran, okay? I'm sorry, this is the most insane thing I've ever seen, okay? Zoran is doing a Eid al-Adha celebration. I don't know what to say about this. This is in fucking sanity. Okay? He's full dripped in Gooner merch. Okay? He's fully dripped in Gooner merch. Can Zoran help with your subpoena? No, he's the mayor of New York. What the fuck kind of power do you think he has? Of course he can't do anything about that. Anyway, you wish you could pull that off? I don't know if I could ever pull that off. I don't even know if I want to pull that off. I saw this as well, but this is AI, I think, but it's still awesome. You wearing the wrong fit, New York City mayor. Arsenal Dishdasha. You can get a LeBron Thobe. It's fucking awesome. Up the Arsenal, lads. All right, fucking Gooners. Dial it back. It's not a Thobe. I don't know what it's called. It's one of those things, but mashallah to AOC. By the way, LeBron Fez ordered for you. Join Zoran and us and be an Arsenal fan. It's hard. I have to represent the real working class team. Liverpool. As a Scouser lad. Is that fucked up? No. That's worse. The fuck is wrong with her? Why is she LARPing by wearing a headscarf? What are you talking about, dude? It's fucking, she's being courteous. Like, why are you so fucking triggered? Jesus Christ, dude. Calm down. Be a Barca fan. Man U is worse. Do you have a Fez lineup merch? Mehdi is a Liverpool fan, bro, so you're in good company. Dude, AOC can't do anything right. Okay? Everything she does, if someone's got to get mad at anything and everything she does, I swear to God. My man said LARPing. I don't know if they go to the mosque at some point, or I don't know, maybe it's because it's a prayer event. Normally, you're supposed to cover your head when you're in a mosque. But yeah. Woke 1.0 cultural appropriation grievances is so back. No, that guy wasn't even doing a cultural appropriation grievance. That guy was just like mad that she's wearing a headscarf. Anyway, all right, let's get back to Trump.
What's contingent, what's not? I can say that we can make a good deal right now, but maybe not a great deal. And if it's not a great deal, we're not making it. So, because we can make a great deal with this guy right here.
Support journalism you trust.
Support the Parker Broadcasting Service. Anyway, cabinet meeting in the White House continues.
They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job. But their Navy is gone, as I've said 1,000 times. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. everything's gone, and they're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't. Right now, I mean, you can speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared. They're doing a good job. But right now, I think it looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have, I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation. Their money has no value. Their whole economic system is broken down. They thought they were going to outweight me. You know, we'll outweight him. He's got the midterms. I don't care about the midterms. Look what happened last night. That was the prelude to the midterms. People understand it. They know that, very simple, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I'm doing that for the world. I'm not doing it just for us. And we've had great support from other nations, by the way. We don't need it at all, but we've had great support from other nations. The problem is you always get the support when you don't need it. When you need it, you don't get the support.
Okay, but you don't need it, so who cares, right? Because it kind of feels like you do care. And it also kind of feels like you're not getting the support that you want. Maybe that you need. I don't even care. I don't even want it. I hate the support. I've been telling people, don't support me. I got this on my own. Have you seen how hard we've destroyed the Iranian Navy? Did you see the New York Times breakdown of how hard and how often Trump is praised and flattered in these cabinet meetings? Trump is the only person who can save America according to his cabinet. I mean, yeah, this is just... I think we all know. Did you see this poll about you? Yes, I did. I think we all know these people know how to manage Trump. That's why they're in the position of power that they're in, right? That's why they're occupying a space of influence in the administration. Because, what is this? Suit game getting stronger? Okay, Chile. Where is it? Where's the fucking poll? I thought I tweeted about it, but I guess not. I tweeted so much. This is what the, oh yeah, dude, this is perfect. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not one for symbolism, but if you don't see the symbolism here, I mean, it's pretty blunt. It's hitting you right in the fucking face. You got the UFC Superdome that they're building right in front of the front lawn of the White House. Okay. And then you got the ballroom that's also being built. It's in the process of being built. I mean, this is perfect. This is what America is. This is literally what America is all about. What are we complaining about? What's the expectation? Did you expect something different? Normally, I feel like leadership, they are supposed to do stuff like this at a moment when they have at least like a little bit more excitement, like in the early stages of like fascism, when there's a lot of victories that you can point to, right? Like, oh, we have a command over the economy, and there's like usually there's a boost, right? There's like almost an immediate improvement in people's like economic situations before everything falls apart. That's usually when you build the shit like this. You don't build shit like this when everybody hates you. When everybody hates you and you build shit like this, they hate you more. And the problem for Trump is he's leaned into more of his fascistic tendencies in the second term when he has far less motion. And he blew it too. Like, he got in, he thought he had a mandate when he clearly didn't. It was a marginal victory over a historically unpopular candidacy with a bunch of chaotic things that unfolded in real time. Super old president. Everyone's hiding how old he is somehow until it's seen in broad daylight that it's like it's impossible to hide. It's very frustrating for people. Negative real wage growth experience for a year and a half. People are not going to forget that. They're going to continue punishing that. And then, you have your unpopular VP substitute the unpopular and very old president that is committed to continuing a genocide. Of course, Donald Trump won on those under those conditions, and barely, right? But he came in and he thought he had a fucking mandate. With this marginal victory that he got, he thought he had a goddamn mandate. And they started operating like he had a mandate. And what did he do with that mandate mentality? He blew it immediately. He was like, we're doing mass deportations and we're doing tariffs. We are going to literally do the reverse to the economy that we said we were going to do. We came in, we're going to fix the economy and we're going to make things cheaper. That was the major, bargain. That was the major argument. And instantly, we pulled the reversal, right? They came in, they hit austerity with Doge, with an incredibly unpopular figurehead, one of the most autistic people on the planet, coming in and just saying like, I'm a rich guy who never really works and all I do is tweet and I'm going to fire tens of thousands of federal workers as we, dismantle the institutions piece by piece, things that are supposed to work that are pertinent to everyday existence in the United States, like, mapping out weather patterns or making sure that the meat that you're purchasing at the store is not poisonous. Like these are things that are supposed to work all the time, invisibly in the background. And you only recognize what these institutions do when they fall apart. He did all of that. And then tariff liberation day, planes falling out of the sky, omen after omen. And now at the peak of his unpopularity, he's like, yeah, I'm going to hollow out the goddamn, side lawn of the White House to build my own personal vanity project. And then on top of that, I'm going to do, I'm going to do the UFC Superdome. Now, personally, I don't even care about the UFC Superdome. I don't even care about the ballroom either. Who gives a shit? I just don't want him to have it because he really wants it. That's it. And I don't think he deserves to have something that he likes, because only if you're a good boy, you get to have treats. Okay. You don't get to build treats for yourself when you're a petulant, spoiled child. That's like breaking everything. Okay. That's my main resentment towards the ballroom. I've never really given a shit necessarily. I do think that Democrats should absolutely lean into the imagery here, though. The idea that like there's no money for healthcare, but only money for bombs, only money for Israel, and also Trump's fucking personal vanity project. Get out of here. I hate to admit this, but Trump was right. I saw this. He said that if I vote for Kamala Harris, gas prices, grocery prices, and my utility bills will go through the roof. I voted for Harris, and my gas prices, my grocery prices, and utility bills have gone through the roof. It's true. It did happen. It's great. That's just American democracy, either side you vote on, things are not going to change. Okay. China turns sneaky eating in class into a real competition. Why are you sending me this shit? Stop. Looking at things that are happening in China kind of give me the same exact vibes of looking at things that are happening in New York City, where like the rest of the world is falling apart, but they're doing all right in comparison. You know what I mean? Like everything in America sucks right now. And then you look at New York and they're having so much fucking fun. And you feel it when you're there too. When you're there, when you're in New York, you're like, oh, God damn it, this shit looks awesome. Why can't we have some of this? Right? And the same, I get the same feeling when I look at China. China's like, oh, we're just having fun over here. Things are fantastic. Things are incredible here. How are you guys doing? Oh, well, we have a ballroom, I think. That's cool. What do we have to look forward to in American democracy? Nothing.
Operation Epic Fury, our warriors are ensuring that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror never obtains a nuclear weapon, and they won't.
Not a damn thing we got. Not a damn thing. Nothing is positive. No positive trajectory for American empire.
How much economic pressure do you feel to get the Strait of Hormuz open?
Well, you have to say, the United States has so much oil that we are an exporter of oil. So we have plenty of oil. We're very lucky. We're blessed with the greatest piece of land in the world from that standpoint. And we have...
Dog, when you're the president of America, you're the leader of the free world, okay? Now, obviously, I don't believe that messaging at all, but there are responsibilities that come along with being the president of the United States of America. sitting on that throne, okay? Your responsibility isn't just to the American people, who are also suffering an unprecedented crisis right now, because obviously, regardless of America's exporting capabilities of oil and gas, oil is a commodity that is necessary for survival. There's inelastic demand, and it's traded. They trade it globally, right? So it's still going to increase prices here in the United States of America unless we just decide to not sell to the rest of the world, which is not going to happen for two reasons. One, the oil and gas industry are going to tell you to fuck off, right? Because this is beneficial for them and they care about profit more than anything else. And two, even if they were to stop selling oil to the rest of the world and only sold to the United States of America, that would be an unbelievable catastrophe for the rest of the world that also is now relying on American oil and gas anyway. So that would cause complete economic collapse elsewhere. So you can't even do that regardless. So yeah, the damned if you do, damned if you don't style situation. Look at Patagonia getting sued by Patagonia. Look at her Insta. What is that? What? I don't even know what this is. What is happening here? Why are you sending this to me, Ghost Princess? Do you think this is an important piece of news that we need to cover right now? What are you talking about?
More than anybody else, and now when you add Venezuela to it, we have, I think, 64% of the world's oil, and we're getting along very well with
drag
Venezuela,
queen?
by the way. It's
Okay.
being run really beautifully. The big companies are moving in. It's going to be amazing because it's also, like us, they're very blessed in that sense. But we have natural energy that no other country has. We have more than anybody else. So it's really a world problem because most
People are saying that the ballroom's not about building a ballroom. From what I understand, it's apparently to skirt presidential bookkeeping and surveillance regulations by building a data center under it. Have you heard anything about that? Yes, I have. I don't know the veracity of such claims. I feel like it's just speculative.
Most of the world doesn't have that, and we're making it available. During the closing, I don't know if you've seen some of the satellite pictures, boats, hundreds of boats lined up. It looks like...
She's incredibly base and used to partner with Patagonia, but they're being super evil. Okay, guys, we'll look at that later. Okay, please, what the fuck, man? Please lock in. Please, I beg you. Can we lock in? Can we lock in right now? We're talking about the most important issue of all time, okay? The president's ballroom. And also, on top of that, Trump's claims about how a fucking ceasefire is imminent when it's not.
I used to say the Long
I will look at Patagonia's situation later, please.
Island Expressway with cars. They're lined up and they're coming to Texas, Louisiana. They're coming to Alaska to fill up their boat. They're big boat. Some of them are really big. 2 billion gallons. Even bigger than that now they make them. They make them up to 4, Chris, I hear. Now they make them up to 4. The 4 are now the big ones. Used to be the 1s. Now it's 4 million barrels of... Think of that, 4 million barrels of oil in one boat. But they're lined up and they're
So many barrels.
right now heading to Texas, and they've already filled up and they've gone back. In addition to that, you have a lot of boats, you have about 1,500 boats in the strait wanting to get out, and at the right time we'll release them.
But the American people, sir, are seeing higher gas prices.
Yeah,
now, it's come down a little bit, but it's still $4.45.
Oh, it'll come down a lot. It'll come down to where it was before. We had it, when I was in Iowa, we had, we're driving by and we saw gas stations, $1.90 a gallon, $1.85, $1.87 were the three that we saw. We had it down in some places.
Are you going to cover the bricks and minifigs controversy too? Charlie just released 2 videos in a single day about it. Apparently a chain store stole $200,000 in Legos from a dying man.
Below, now we can't help but California where they charge so much tax that, you lower it and they charge tax. They've got to straighten the act out in California, but we had gasoline down to a very low number. I think we'll be hitting that number shortly after that whole excursion ends.
Does that give you more
But
urgency?
regardless,
I'm not covering anything that you guys want me to cover in the chat. Stop asking me to cover stuff. I'm going to fucking lose my mind. Oh my God. I haven't actually been able to do like straight up normal news coverage and commentary for like the past couple of days because I've been away from home. Please, you need to stop with this. Please, I beg you.
of anything, regardless of anything, as Marco said better than anybody can say it, you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. They would use it instantly. They wouldn't think about it. They would use it instantly. I've gotten to know them. They would use it instantly.
Does that give you more urgency, Mr. President? You've said that you're in no rush to make a deal, but with gas prices that are still high across the country, people are paying more for travel. Does that give you more urgency to make a deal? Why doesn't it?
Well, I'll tell you the primary urgency I have. I said this, it wasn't covered properly, but the primary urgency is that we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. But at the same time, we have a tremendous amount of oil, gas, coal. We have tremendous amounts of energy. We're blessed with something very special. Those prices are going to come down. They're going to come down fast. I think that you'll see, actually, Todd, I think you're going to see lower prices that we had even before we did this. Now, I knew there'd be an increase. I said, we have a choice. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah. You knew there'd be an increase. You knew there would be an increase. And yet, you still did it. And not only that, but also everybody hates it. And they're increasingly hating it more and more every day that goes on, every day where they have to pay more for gas. And it doesn't seem like you're stopping. What will it take? Like, I knew that American foreign policy is never responsive to the democratic needs of the majority, right? I've talked about this quite a bit. But this is shocking. Like, this is because, like, I know Americans don't care about death and destruction elsewhere or the instability they cause elsewhere. Because, like, right now, one of the major things that we're doing is we're fucking up the rest of the world. There's an energy crisis elsewhere. We're only seeing like a minor impact. Everyone is tapping into their strategic reserves right now. There's diminished economic output in general, and it's ongoing. And there's a more restrained version of productivity in the rest of the world, and its impacts are going to obviously be felt by America as well, but to a much more limited degree. And Donald Trump is seemingly not very interested in that at all, which is fine. But Americans are feeling the pain a little bit. And I genuinely did think that this very clearly like Israel-backed war that Trump engaged in that caused so much instability and created this gas price chaos on U.S. soil would at least cause some people to think twice about leaning into the MAGA cult. And I guess what? I was a little wrong on that front. Okay, they're still seemingly on board with everything that he's doing because it's a motherfucking cult.
And in 2 years or 1 year or 2 months, because Iran would have had if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks from that date because they were ready to go. And if they had a nuclear weapon, it would have been used already. It also would have been used had I not terminated the Obama deal, the Iran nuclear deal, as we call it. That was in my first term. Had I not terminated that, they would have had a nuclear weapon a long time ago. I would say it was a guarantee that it would have been used. And it would have blown up Israel. It would have blown up the entire Middle East. And that's never going to happen.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.
Iran released new footage overnight of what it claims are its air defenses firing at American drones and a fighter jet in an incident that nearly broke the fragile ceasefire with Washington. It is impossible to independently verify what this state media footage shows or when it was from. Iran's president described it as a military victory for Iran, while the U.S. said it responded with strikes. The escalation coming as delicate negotiations on the war are ongoing. Trump administration officials say a framework deal could be reached perhaps this week. A U.S. official tells NBC News the framework would see the ceasefire extended for 60 days, open the Strait of Hormuz, and initiate talks on Iran's nuclear program. But nothing seems set in stone. Vice President J.D. Vance telling NBC News in a new interview that he is, quote, extremely hopeful that a deal would include Iran's agreement not to develop a nuclear weapon, but says a more difficult question is having the confidence that Iran won't violate the deal in the future. The deal is also facing last-minute resistance from members of the Israeli government who worry it won't limit Iran's missile program or its support for militias in the Middle East. While an
Yeah, I mean, the missile program is already out of the question, and everybody knows that it's already out of the question. But I will say this. What's really funny about the media being like, well, there's a real cause for concern here that this won't actually diminish Iran's support for the militias in the region. Yeah, it's one of the conditions. One of the conditions, the top condition, as a matter of fact, is to get America to restrain Israel against Lebanon and against Hezbollah. So yeah, no shit, it's not going to cause Iran to restrain its support for Hezbollah or anything like that. It's a part of the fucking deal.
Iranian official this morning said the agreement would also stop the war in Lebanon. Prime Minister Netanyahu says he plans to intensify Israel's military campaign against Hezbollah in Lebanon, where a U.S.-backed ceasefire is not being respected by either side. And fighting in Lebanon is already intensifying, with the Lebanese Ministry of Health just today saying that at least 31 people have been killed by recent Israeli strikes. Craig?
Our chief foreign correspondent Richard Ingleforce there in Jerusalem. Richard, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
It has never resembled a ceasefire, but day by day that term losing ever more meaning. The city of Tyre in southern Lebanon this evening coming under intense attack, part of an expanded Israeli offensive. Israel said it was striking Hezbollah command centers. In its biggest forced evacuation warning of the ceasefire, the Israeli military saying people living in the southern port of Tyre should leave, along with anyone living in 11 refugee camps nearby. Anyone south of the Zahrani River told they were now in an active combat zone. The Army's Arabic spokesman advising all residents of the south to head north, mirroring orders made at the height of the war in March. Israel's Prime Minister under pressure at home to demonstrate he has an answer to this: Hezbollah's increasing use of unjammable fiber-optic drones, this one striking an Iron Dome interceptor launcher. For all the tropes of propaganda, a truth here that Israel is seeking a new form of defense against a new threat. The expanded attacks in Lebanon could also...
The FPV compies are out of control. I will say it. They're completely out of control. I mean, they're doing things that I did not think that they were capable of doing. And I don't understand how, after so many years of Russia invading Ukraine, that none of these other countries actually learned any of the techniques of like trying to engage in defensive measures against drone warfare. FPV drones for Hezbollah, I speculate, came out of nowhere. I mean, Hezbollah has always been very good at utilizing ATGMs, right? That was their whole thing. They were very good at ambush missions against Merkavas. Okay. But they never actually deployed FPV drones until recently. And I speculate that one of the reasons why the FPV drones started getting mass adoption within the Hezbollah attack and defense structure is because Israel did the same thing that America did to Iran. They basically killed every single older person that didn't understand how any of this stuff worked. Okay. And now all of the younger commanders and all the younger militia members were like, no, we should be using this shit. This is crazy. And it has been a wild journey watching them get better every single day. Like the first FPV drone footage that came out, the first FPV drone compilation footage came out, like The guys were not very good. FPV means first person view, by the way. They were not very good. It was shaky. They were not very confident. And then a couple weeks into it, they just started doing trick shots out of nowhere. And I think mass adoption happened only because they just ended up killing all the older people that were more restrained about using this new technology that they were not confident in a manner not dissimilar to what America did alongside Israel to the IRGC. They took out the leadership of the Islamic Republic and the leadership structure within the IRGC, and the fresh, like the younger candidates that took their place were hardliners in IRGC, and were way less invested in negotiating with America or Israel for understandable reasons. And I think the similar thing happened with Hezbollah as well.
Hezbollah's surprise success with FPV drones will reshape the war in Lebanon, but the question everyone is wondering is how.
Climate intelligence is completely gone. This has been a massive intelligence failure by Israel, a massive intelligence failure.
You know, it really is a crisis.
To combat this drone threat, Smotrich, Israel's far-right minister, proposed destroying 10 buildings in Beirut for every drone Hezbollah launches, and Netanyahu promised to use overwhelming force. A super quick primer on FPV drones. They are connected to its pilot by fiber optic cables. No technology exists now that can jam or detect them, and these FPV drones are tiny. So tiny, in fact, Israel's Iron Dome can't detect or shoot them down.
Like, that's crazy. Look at this, bro.
Either. And very significantly, Hezbollah is making these drones themselves in Lebanon, making cutting off their foreign arms supply way less of a blow. And the result is this. Hezbollah's FPV drones are destroying entire...
Yeah, it's really so easy to manufacture drones because all the electronics and parts required are really cheap. You also do not need the previous technical knowledge and engineering skills that was required to make missiles, etc. Yeah. Dude, that's why I said, like, if you recall, remember when Canary Mission was trying to get me banned because they were claiming that I was fucking, basically training people to do terrorism or whatever, when I said something, that everybody fucking understands, which is that, like, warfare... asymmetric warfare has changed dramatically. It's rendered suicide bombing campaigns completely a relic of the past. There's no reason to do anything like that when you can just like learn how to fucking build drones and deploy drones. And it's clear that, like, that's what's going on. I'm shocked that Hezbollah had not done this already. Yeah, they rendered suicide bombings obsolete. Drone warfare is the great equalizer in many respects for not only smaller countries, not only middle powers like Iran, regional powers like Iran, to be able to successfully combat superpowers like the United States of America, as we've seen with the success of the Shahed drones in the Operation Epstein Fury. But it's also very successful for even paramilitary groups going up against a nuclear-armed ethno-state like Israel. It is incredibly precise. It's incredibly easy to make, and it's fairly easy to train on as well. For the first time, Hezbollah publishes footage of a FPV utilizing a thermal camera to observe and strike occupation army. Oh my God, they got thermal imagery. Oh, it's crazy. Now they're doing nighttime strikes. I mean, this is... First of all, this is a tremendous opportunity for Ukraine, okay? I know Zelensky has basically been begging everyone to pay attention to him, and everyone's like, dude, fuck off. But, like, this is literally his bread and butter. This is straight up his fucking bread and butter. This is what Ukraine did. This is how Ukraine was able to keep a defensive posture in spite of overwhelming military forces, like just a meat grinder that's constantly pushing into deeper and deeper into Ukrainian territory. And the only way that they were able to stop this was because of their drone production. But of course, Israel's going to do Israel shit. And their response, as always, is, oh, for every FPV drone that you deploy on our batteries, on our Iron Dome, defense systems, we will blow up 5 buildings in Beirut. we're just going to kill children. Israel has only one speed, which is murdering children. Okay, murdering civilians en masse.
Bases, they are destroying really hard to replace equipment like D9 bulldozers, Merkava tanks, Iron Dome batteries, and the cameras strapped to these drones give Hezbollah a propaganda win. Images of soldiers' last moments, attacks where they surely incur lifelong injuries. They are circulating in Israel, and Israel's military censors can't really stop it. And this will make the war harder to sell in Israel if this goes on. So how is Israel's military reacting to all of this? Well, the military has already brought in over 20 football fields of netting to try and ensnare these drones, but even this really low-tech solution is not much of a solution at all.
You have two drone operators, one hits the netting and the other one goes through the hole. Billions and billions of dollars have been spent by Russia and Europe and America and their top military thinkers and their planners, you know, to try stop these FPV drones, and fundamentally, they have achieved nothing.
As an electrical engineer, I think they will soon find ways to deal with drone swarms too. The AI and computer vision technology should make it easy to deal with swarm attacks. It's a mess though. I feel like that can open up new cybersecurity risks with automating the defenses. Yeah. Beretta came out with like an anti-drone system. The Vietnamese military came out with an anti-drone system that is, you know, very old school. I saw the 6 AK-47s planted. That used to be a joke. That literally was like a thing that I think Russian military or the Ukrainian military had actually done, and I thought that was a meme at first. Nope, turns out that's genuinely what they're trying to do. Yeah, they just tape a bunch of AKs and they use it as like anti-air defense systems. World War I technology, pretty much. Ukraine also has some fairly genius defensive systems as well, with like their own. They have anti-drone drones as well. Like there's a drone with like a spoon on it that just flies up to Russian drones and just smacks them. I've seen shit like that. There's just a lot of crazy things happening, and it's very funny that like America is oblivious to all of it and has not caught up at all. This is something that they talked about. This is something that like American defense manufacturers have talked about as well. Palmer Luckey famously has talked extensively about American procurement being far behind the rest of the world and how this was going to be a problem, except the real problem is Palmer Luckey's drone program was unbelievably costly and also very bad. They got kicked out of Ukraine. They tried to build drone systems in Ukraine, and Ukraine was like, dude, this is expensive and you suck. So, you know, I don't know where we go from here. But drone warfare has definitely leveled the playing field.
We have seen from the Russia-Ukraine war where FPV drones were first used on the battlefield.
Yeah, here's the Vietnamese anti-drone mount if you want to see it. If you think I was joking, I'm not. It's literally 6 AKs with a binocular, and it's strapped onto a mount, and it just opens fire. Bro, reloading that bitch is going to be so annoying. Yeah. It looks like cutting-edge technology. They also unveiled a lightning-fast drone boat armed with the RPG, zips and maneuvers like a beast on water. Yeah. This is what people are up to, man. But it is a real weakness for more powerful countries who have relied on costly procurement, who obviously are much slower to improve their offensive capabilities, their defensive capabilities. Many of the defensive capabilities require fluidity, and they don't have the combat experience that creates opportunity, or not even opportunity, but like makes it necessary for you to manufacture some kind of defensive posture in real time. And that's where we're at.
What a game changer they continue to be.
You see this all the time in Ukraine now, where an entire stretch of highway has just nets all over.
So finally, what impact will this have in the war in Lebanon? We may see Israel scale back its goals in Lebanon, achieve them at a much slower pace. They may just increase their attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure in South Lebanon. But what these...
I mean, that's precisely what they're going to do, by the way. I mean, they're already saying that they're going to do that. And they're like, oh, you're going to drone strike us? Well, guess what? We're going to kill more civilians. Oh, every time you drone strike one of our military installations that's illegally occupying your soil, that's killing your civilians, what we're going to do in exchange for that is murder more children. Great.
PV drones will surely do is make Israel pay a steeper cost in pursuing a buffer zone in South Lebanon. If you want to hear more about what's happening in Lebanon, check out my full interview.
Yeah. So this is this shows this is for 8 days ago, almost 3 million views. This show, I watched this video. It's pretty crazy. It shows what the Ukrainians are doing. Yes, dude, they're calling me Piker Hassan on Fox News. I know. We'll get to it. Okay, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just, who cares? She's insane. She's an insane person. I know.
To be read as a signal that Israel believes a US-Iran agreement is imminent, a last push before any possible constraints imposed by the White House. As for that agreement, Iranian state media today reporting on what they called an unofficial draft. Iran would restore shipping through the Strait of Hormuz within a month, but also manage it. The US would end its blockade and withdraw forces. Almost immediately, the White House calling that complete fabrication, the president insisting on his own terms.
They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job. They thought they were going to outweight me. We'll outweight him. He's got the midterms. I don't care about the midterms. Very simple.
Yeah, people love hearing that. People love hearing from their president. People love when their president says, I don't care about democracy. What are you, fucking stupid? Are you dumb? Why would I ever care about the negative consequences that my warmongering is going to have? It's awesome.
Iran cannot have a nuclear.
He's like, I'm literally a Jeffrey Epstein affiliate. Why do you think I would care? I don't even care about my fans getting mad at me for being a Jeffrey Epstein affiliate. You think this matters at all? It doesn't.
And I'm doing that for the world. I'm not doing it just for us.
Trump assured the world last June that he'd obliterated Iranian nuclear sites, but 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium remain.
It's also funny because like the rest of the world's like begging him to not do this. The rest of the world's like, please stop. We desperately need you to stop doing this. This is really fucking bad for us, please. Nope, I'm going to do more of it, and I'm doing it for you. You don't know any better. I'm doing it for you.
This week he downgraded his demand for its removal to what he called its destruction, the kind of detail that was being negotiated before the war.
On one hand, the president is, I think, eager to cut his losses
and
walk away from a conflict that has, as noted, provided very little strategic success. But on the other hand, there is a political reality there that prices are high. They're going to continue to be for some time ahead. And the president has to be able to demonstrate that something has been achieved. And so this is a case, I think, of throwing things against the wall and seeing if they stick.
Iranians have been reacclimatizing to a functional internet a day after the cyber shutdown was at last ended. Business eased, overseas family links restored, some mordantly welcoming Mossad and CIA spies back to the chat, others speculating the end of restrictions means an agreement is all but made. Those for whom these talks will matter most at least now have the chance to watch them unfold online.
We begin with the voting in Texas last night that could have a big impact on the balance of power in the Senate. With a huge boost from President Trump, the state's controversial Attorney General Ken Paxton defeated incumbent Senator John Cornyn, a win that could boost Democrats come November. Jay O'Brien starts us off. Good morning, Jay.
George, good morning to you. This is a major Texas-sized win for President Trump, giving a last-minute endorsement to Texas's embattled Attorney General Ken Paxton, but allowing him to wallop the state's longtime Republican Senator John Cornyn, beating him by around 30 points in that runoff last night. A dramatic turn of events from the primary the two had in March.
Yeah, Abdul El-Sayed's messaging has been on point this past week as well. Problem is Trump's dumb and illegal war with Iran. And congratulations on your $4 gas, but any normal person could tell you that that's still too damn high. Ted Cruz just filled my tank in Texas. Gas is $3.99 a gallon. Hey, Gavin, problem isn't Chevron. It's California's stupid energy policies, Ted says. What was Paxton pulling up prior to the endorsement? I'm not sure, but it was going to be a close one regardless, but Donald Trump's endorsement obviously solidified it. It was over after that point. There's no coming back from that.
$5.
He also did a slutty Twitter ad.
$1 a gallon gas. I'm trying to save the campaign some money. I'm not gonna work.
Are you sure you don't want to ride to work, man?
Nope.
This is him being slutty.
The cost at the pump, $5 a gallon, didn't just happen. This is a function of a set of policy choices we keep making in this society to fight wars we have no business fighting. And the cost, well, you pay it at the pump and you pay it in taxes. We're wasting our taxpayer dollars to fight wars we don't need to fight while people drown in billions of dollars in medical debt. Michiganders of all stripes are pedaling harder and harder and harder, trying to chase the American dream, but it just gets further and further away. It's like, sometimes it even feels like you're pedaling backwards. Nope.
God, he's so corny. Sometimes he's kind of...
Y'all, it just shouldn't be this hard. Shouldn't be this hard.
He's so jacked, though. I mean, it's great.
Hard to afford your gas. Shouldn't be this hard to pay your rent. Shouldn't be this hard to see a doctor in the richest, most powerful country in the world. Just 3 months ago, gas was not this expensive. We've wasted $50 billion fighting a war nobody asked for, an illegal, unethical war, torched our tax dollars to raise our gas prices. And I want you to pay attention to this one, $6.09 for diesel. Now, you may not fill up diesel at the gas pump, but you know who does? Trucks. The same.
This is literally a ripoff from Greens Polanski's ad. I mean, that's in... Dog, that's in the UK is different. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't count. There's a whole different world, big dog. Why are you bringing shit up like that? Chill.
Trucks that are trucking your food to the grocery store that then...
Our ad, comrade. Chill.
Translates into higher prices on the grocery shelves. And yet, meantime, the corporations, the billionaires, and their bought-off politicians keep telling you that the best single thing we can do with our tax dollars is go drop bombs over there instead of invest here. Which is why we need a movement that is finally willing to stand up to them, reject corporate money, get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all. All right, too far, Jeff. Slow.
Chatter doesn't know that the USA's whole shit is doing Euroid shit, but better. Agreed. Agreed, dude. As your only Midwestern watcher, corny is cocaine to us. I've heard that. I've heard people say that. I find it odd, but if that's what works, it works. You know, the Financial Times checked on the Board of Peace account. I know. I was going to get to that as well. Another, moment of tremendous graft. Donald Trump just straight up stole billions of dollars from every other country who just wanted to, I guess, have a seat at the table next to Donald Trump and win favor, curry favor with Donald Trump. It's pretty funny. Pretty great. Classic. You're cornier than Abdul. I mean, sometimes. I don't even know if they mind. Yeah, Trump's Board of Peace official fund receives $0 despite billions pledged. I don't know if they mind necessarily. Corporations can vote in Delaware. We're not a real country. I mean, whatever. Cut out the middleman,
Trump branding Paxton, who tried to help him overturn the results of the...
But yeah, getting back to Ken Paxton, okay? getting back to Ken Paxton. The Republicans are not doing great. Okay. The Republican Party's not doing great. I mean, obviously we've talked about this before. This is a classic Trump initiative. You know, he comes in like a wrecking ball. He does a bunch of fuck shit. Everybody hates it. Everyone starts speculating that, like, oh, people are finally going to leave the Trump camp. People are finally going to leave the Trump cult. They never do. Okay. Ken Paxton is another great example of this. John Cornyn has been a, lifelong Republican, been around since George W. Bush, 20 years in service, well-respected career politician for the Republican Party. And now he got ousted by a psychopath. I gave you the rundown on Ken Paxton's, background and all of the things that he has done in Texas that has actually drawn ire not only from the Democrats in the state, but certainly even from the Republicans in the state. Ken Paxton had numerous issues, numerous investigations, basically like a cockroach. He just keeps somehow surviving all of these different scandals. He's an immensely corrupt person, so perfect for the Trump administration. And it's very funny that he is technically, from the perspective of Tallarico heads, the best guy to defeat. Much easier to defeat than even Cornyn is, right? So a lot of people are excited. A lot of people are excited. And right off the rip, there's a new poll that came out, Texas poll, that we're going to be taking a look at. This is from a pro-Tallarico group. James Tallarico at 45%, Ken Paxton at 38%. Net favorabilities for Tallarico is at +6, and for Paxton it's -16. Now, does that even matter? Does that even matter? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Blegs is going to happen. And the reason for why I won't tell you that is for two reasons. Okay, there's two reasons. One, Tallarico has a lot of like majority Democrats style centrist think tanks in his corner, and those guys know exactly how to seize defeat from the jaws of victory. Okay, they are the best at that. So he already has some of the worst consultants backing his candidacy. So that's most likely going to be a problem for him anyway. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, I will never discount how insane Republicans are. Okay. What normal people look at in horror, or what normal people can see as a cause of celebration, with this horribly bad, horribly unpopular candidate that the Republicans excitedly voted for, Ken Paxton. What normal people might consider to be a mentally ill move to make by the voters in Texas, Texas voters might think is great, actually. Okay? Texas voters look at that and go, no, that's my guy. I want someone with a shit ton of scandals. Why is everyone suddenly freaking out over Paxton calling Tallarico gay when there's no evidence so far that it's worked, no evidence that it will work, and it hasn't led a poll in 5 months? Voters have been saying over and over again that they are tired of culture war, bullshit politics, and overwhelmingly prioritize cost of living issues. How is this supposed to be some sort of slam dunk strategy at all? This is also crazy revisionist history about Warnock law. They couldn't go 2 seconds without calling him a radical liberal. Yeah. Now, of course, centrist Democrats are not even satisfied with Tallarico, who I think is too centrist for my taste. Some of them have also been critical of Tallarico, being like, or Republicans have been critical of Tallarico, saying like, oh, dude, it's in the rap. He's a vegan. He's a homosexual vegan who loves transgenders. Okay. You guys already know what my assessment of the situation is. When they try to hit you with that, gay shit, all you have to do is, we're not having a conversation about this. We're having a conversation about the unprecedented cost of living crisis that we're going through, worsened by the Trump administration. I'm here to fix that. I'm here to make things cheaper. You can chirp about like transgenders all day, every day. I'm here to chirp about, making groceries cheaper, making your gas cheaper. Okay. More money in your pocket. It's the method that Abdul also deployed perfectly in the Fox News conversation. It's undefeated. And now you don't even need to say it's untested, right? It was the Zoran method and it worked. But people will say, oh, that was just New York. New York is woke and gay anyway. But to a certain degree, it's worked with Graham Plattner in Maine. And it worked with Chris Rabb as well. Again, deep blue district regardless. But I do think it will work in Texas for Tallarico as well. Although I will say Texas is the one area where I don't know if it will work that well. Okay. I think you have better shot at winning with a kitchen table issue focused candidacy that just straight up tells you what the policies are and how a politician will improve your lives, how a candidate will improve your lives in places like Montana, even in Nebraska. I think you'll have an easier shot in places like that as opposed to Texas and Florida. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm crazy enough to recognize how crazy the Republicans are and how crazy the independents are in these places. But we'll see. I think this will be a good testing ground for Tallarico if he doesn't fuck this up, which he still can. Remember, first factor always is centrist Democrats love losing. They love taking an easy victory and flipping it around and turning it into a defeat. That's number one. Number two, Republicans are fucking batshit crazy. And the more crazy their candidates are, the more invested they might be. So just remember that. These are unpredictable races for that reason. Okay? Sorry to the Texans in the chat. Y'all are out of fucking control, okay? You live with them, so you know better than I do. They are insane. They're nutty. They're totally nutty. However, I do think the antidote to that nuttiness is left populism. Okay? Yeah. Stephen Miller, the Democrats made history in Texas by nominating their first transgender Senate candidate. Great. Yeah. Shut up, you ugly fuck. Okay, Democrats, you win this round. If you keep this energy in the midterms, if the national party presents itself like this, great. Okay? This requires a little bit of backbone, though. You also need actual policies. Like you need a decipherable, discernible policy platform that is almost exclusively communicating how you are going to materially improve the working class's lives. Okay, so that's important. Do not scroll down. Okay, so that's important to remember here, chatters. You need something tangible, some meat that people can latch on to. Medicare for All is a great example of this, which Tallarico is not on board with, unfortunately. Did I miss something? I thought Tallarico was progressive, or was he always a centrist? He's been wishy-washy, and that's part of the reason why I was like a little hot and cold on him. I did prefer him over Jasmine Crockett, but at the end of the day, I mean, I certainly prefer him over Ken Paxton or John Cornyn, but as a candidate overall, I think he's not there. He plays the middle of the road quite frequently. If you remember, his like opening salvo was about, it's not left, it's not right, it's up versus down. All that stuff is good. All that stuff is great. Problem is, you have to have policies associated with that movement, right? You can't just like fucking vaguely gesture to how you're going to improve people's lives, because I think that gives you more credibility, right? Another area of credibility is obviously Israel. It's a big litmus test for a lot of people. And a problem with James Tallarico on the Israel front is he's not an anti-Zionist. He's not an anti-Zionist at all. He has even had his platform on Israel was almost identical to Jasmine Crockett's, although Jasmine Crockett was far worse than he was on communicating on this issue. And Jasmine Crockett has done stuff since then that obviously solidified that she is super pro-Israel anyway. But even when Jasmine Crockett and Tallarico were running up against one another in that matchup, Tallarico basically barely looked better on the issue of Israel because he was capable of communicating with empathy, whereas Jasmine Crockett's statements on Israel were unbelievably it was just utterly devoid of empathy, right? So that was another thing that was at least somewhat frustrating for me. But yeah, Tallarico is somewhat of an unknown for me. But it did work. Yeah, 44% of Tallarico voters said his criticism of Israel was important to them and swayed their vote for him. Over 1 in 5 voters, 22% said reducing support for Israel was a top 3 factor in their vote, while just 2% said same for increasing or maintaining support for Israel. Reducing support for Israel will also be a factor in the November general election. 15% of Democratic primary voters say they would not vote in November if the Democratic nominee shares an identical platform of unconditional support for Israel as the Republican candidate. Like, obviously, there's a lot of other factors at play here, but Israel is singularly important for a lot of people. But beyond that, it's a very good litmus test for measuring whether a candidate is going to be responsive to the needs of the population, the needs of the Democratic base, or the needs of corporations and foreign lobbies, right? I think that's how a lot of people view it. I see ourselves, once again, having to deal with the same exact fucking issue. I mean, he's not already against Israel if he changed. Seems just lip service to win this election. No, he is. He is against Israel. He's critical of Israel, but not to the degree that I think is good enough. I don't think he's as sincere as he could be. And I don't think I'm being extra. I don't think I'm being extra critical of Tallarico in an unnecessary way. I think this is a real weakness in his messaging and in his campaign.
I've always said that our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a welcome mat and a lock on the door, meaning we can both.
Like, he's very good at this stuff. This is a very good way to communicate on this issue in Texas, right? Like, he's not saying, oh, we want our open, porous borders or anything like that. I think this is a very good way to talk about, immigration in the country, right? It's good. It's appealing to liberals. It's appealing to independents. Again, he has a very empathetic communication strategy on this stuff.
With welcome immigrants who want to come here and
like, which message is more appealing, right? You always got to look at this. Like, match this up with like what Ken Paxton says. Where Ken Paxton is like, we gotta shoot anyone that looks Mexican with a shotgun in the face. Which message is more appealing to the Texas voters? And honestly, I don't know the answer. Okay, I don't fucking know the answer to that question. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to know the answer to that question, okay? Because it's scary. It's scary to think about what people perceive as good messaging in the state of Texas.
Live the American dream, who want to contribute to our economy.
Half the people that are championing that, shoot every Mexican with a shotgun message are Mexican themselves. This is Texas. Welcome to the state of Texas, okay?
Economy, who want to contribute to our communities, make us richer and stronger, as immigrants have always done throughout American history. And we can keep out people who mean to do us harm. We can know who's trying to come into our country. We can have an orderly, sane immigration system that keeps us all safe, that promotes public safety. Just like you do at your own home. Many people, especially in Texas, we're hospitable. We're the friendly state in Texas.
We'll
give a neighbor the shirt off.
Is that the... Okay. I didn't know. I was thinking differently about it. Maybe I'm just a fucking out of touch elite, bi-coastal elite libtard. But because I'll tell you this much, okay? Texas has some wonderful people, as does every state, okay? But Texas also has some dog shit ass dudes in it, okay? Some really fucking horrible monsters. Now, that's the same in every state. But I usually measure a state by my own personal experience in it, okay? And sometimes the dog shit ass people kind of are a little bit too overwhelming, okay? Yeah, you look at the per capita, and I don't know who wins that battle.
Our back, but we also have a right to know who's coming into our home. We have a right to know why they're there and what their intentions are. We can be both hospitable and keep everybody safe at the same time. Our opponents don't want people to know that you can do both because they rely on using this issue of immigration to grandstand, to say that, it's a choice between public safety and welcoming immigrants. And the truth is that has always been a false choice throughout American history. And we need leaders who are going to do both, secure the border and create a pathway to citizenship for the folks who have been here for a long time and who have been contributing to this country.
Stay away. It's seriously dangerous legally and physically. This is where this fascist wave was born. Prediction. They will straight up buy votes if they have to, and they have the resources to do so. Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in any Republican leaving the cult in any way, shape, or form. I'll be honest with you. And I think part of that is because I've seen what the midterms look like for the Republican Party. Maybe the general is going to be different. And obviously, this is a fluid situation regardless, because every damn day, Israel's approval ratings are going down. And because Trump has seemingly put us in this double suicide pact with Israel, Trump's approval ratings go down as well. Now, we're in the vanguard, right? Any dip in Trump's approval rating from this point on is actually eating away at his base, at his most loyal fans, okay? Directly into the cult. So if we go from like going from 40% to 30% is nowhere near as significant of a dip as it is to go from 30% to 29%, 30% to 28%. At that point, we're in oh boy territory. Because that means that even the cultists are just like, I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. Fuck this guy. That's when we arrive at new grounds, a turning point where the number of people that are getting bored and trying to shoot the president increase alarmingly, because it's all former fans of his, and they all have the guns and they all have the intensity, right? I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. I'm just observing reality, looking at the numbers, looking at the amount of former Trump fans that have tried to kill him unsuccessfully, and assuming that once that cult starts tipping, once there's people that start leaving the cult, going from 30% to 28%, that 2% is going to be extra wild. I'm a numbers guy. Okay, I'm gonna chat GPT it. I'm gonna grok it.
Same question: what conditions, if any, should be placed on U.S. military aid to Israel?
This was his final answer on conditioning aid and restricting weapons transfers to Israel. Let's take a look at what he had to say here.
60 seconds.
As an educator who has fought for children, seeing what's happening in Gaza makes me sick to my stomach. I quoted a theologian the other day who said, I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. God is screaming at all of us in Gaza as we speak.
Like, do you see what I'm saying? He's very good. He's very good. But then he'll follow it up with wishy-washy, middle-of-the-road policy. This is why I said he absolutely had a messaging advantage over Jasmine Crockett. He had a messaging advantage over Jasmine Crockett, but on the policy front, their policies were too close for comfort.
Yes, Israel has a right to defend its people, certainly after October 7th, the deadliest day for the Jewish people since
spoke too soon.
The Holocaust. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does not have the right to wage war against civilians. He does not have the right to restrict aid. He does not have the right to use famine or collective punishment as tactics in that effort. And so I have said that if I'm in the United States Senate, I will use every bit of this country's financial and diplomatic leverage to end the death and destruction in Gaza, which means banning offensive weapons to the Netanyahu government and ensuring that we have candidates.
Yeah, he's doing, it's a bait and switch. He's not doing the defensive weapons. He's not doing defensive weapons, right? But this was earlier too. Now there's a new litmus test. So who knows? Isn't that the same as the Bernie posture? To a certain degree, yes. But I don't know if they've asked Bernie Sanders recently, but I suspect that he's also probably been forced to been forced to just like push for defensive weapons transfers to be shut off as well. Like the new Prague statement on Israel is, oh, we have to cut off money. We have to stop giving them money so they can purchase our weapons. If they want to purchase it on their own, they can purchase it on their own. Our position on the anti-Zionist side has always been, obviously, and this is, there's levels to it, but the most permissible thing that we demand is an embargo, right? To shut off all weapons transfers, no defensive, no offensive weapons, and to obviously then, punish Israel, hold Israel accountable for war crimes, for genocide, and to restrain Israel, right? BDS is also the other floor here on the popular front on what people can do on their own outside of what politicians are pushing for. So it's definitely beyond it's definitely beyond what AOC has set as the new floor, which is to stop giving financial aid to Israel so they can easily purchase American weapons. Because right now that's what we're doing. We're giving Israel, with the Obama Memorandum of Understanding, $3.8 billion a year in just straight up cash so they can come back and purchase our weapons that we're designing for Israel, right? The Tamir interceptors that are a part of the Iron Dome defense systems. The missiles that they use is a collaborative development project between the American state and the Israeli state. And we give Israel $3.8 billion a year for a decade with Obama's Memorandum of Understanding right now so they can use that money to purchase defensive weapons as they claim it. Now, of course, there's no moral or really military distinction between defensive and offensive weapons because these funds are fungible, right? $3.8 billion that you receive in financial aid to purchase American defensive weapons is $3.8 additional billion that you have to spend on offensive weapons. The fact that we are also funding Israel's defense allows Israel to be more belligerent. That's precisely the reason why no one ever makes an argument to give defensive weapons or any aid to Russia or to Iran or to any other country, really, right? Because that would be silly. It's the equivalent of demanding that Nazi Germany receive anti-aircraft battery systems while we're doing the bombing of Dresden, right? Because there's civilians there. There's civilians living in Nazi Germany as well. No one would make that argument. That would be a fucking stupid ass argument to make. So here he is, the racist. Wait, come on. Don't ban that guy. I want to know, or that lady. You're a fucking bellend cocksucker. We got a Brit. Am I racist towards the British? Is that what you're saying? Clip from new interview with Tallarico on CBS. Take a look at ZBS.
Handful of highlights of things you've said in the past, and I wanted to give you an opportunity.
Oh, this is him probably going to back away from woke 1.0 statements that he's made. Every woke politician has to get their lashings, when they were doing Wakanda posting, right? 2020 peak woke. Any politician to the left of like Nancy Pelosi has had, even Nancy Pelosi's even done that with the kente cloth kneeling, every politician has to receive their lashings for their woke crimes. Fuck you! What you fucking mean, lad? What's your problem then? Fucking hell. You're a fucking bellend cocksucker. New Paxton attack ad?
This is not.
Wait, what is this? New ad. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear. This is Texas. We will fight to protect it.
This is Texas. This is not.
There are many more than 2 biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
This is Texas. This is not.
The American flag.
Wait. This is Texas? What does this mean? It's just a woman wearing a cowboy hat in front of a flag that is hanging off of a tree branch. What is, I'm more confused. What is Texas? This ad raises a lot of questions about what Texas is that it seeks to answer. Okay? Yeah, this is Texas, you fucking idiot. Goddamn libtard. You woke homosexual. Yeah. The first thing that they said, this is Texas, is a fat guy in a hard hat. That was awesome. This is Texas. Fat guy in a hard hat. A woman wearing a bandana around her neck and a cowboy hat.
This is not.
The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us.
This is Texas. This is not.
They're going to call me a radical leftist.
This is Texas. This is not.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
This.
That line is so crazy, by the way. I'm sorry. What the fuck were people on? That's not recent, right? That's like woke 1.0. I have to be honest. Like that's such a strange thing to come out of your mouth. Like I get it. I get what he's trying to do there, but like that's a wild way to pander. Okay? You are the woker. And here's the problem with this stuff. Okay? He's obviously going to get fucking inundated with all of this stuff because he has a lot of moments like that. Yeah, he's going to get hit with the fucking clip, okay? We're talking belt fed, M60, bah, 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 bah. He's like, because he's doing like, he's going crazy mode in like the 2020s, peak woke. He's just like when someone asks me a question like that, you guys know it's I'm uncompromising in defending trans people. But if someone asked me that question, I'd be like, burgers. Like, I'm not even pandering. I'm just thinking about burgers. You know, what the fuck do you mean? How would that be top of mind? Like, I know there's a war. Mr. Hassan, what does the world hate you? I wouldn't say the world hates me. I would say that unfortunately, we live in a very reactionary country, and therefore there are a lot of people who are reactionary and are going to hate what I talk about without trying to understand it. Anyway, but that's not what we're talking about. Okay, it's okay. Look, it's the thought that counts. No, I know. But here's the thing.
Something that you...
That's a crazy answer regardless, because like that's like what do you mean? Like that's always going to be read weirdly. Even woke 1.0, that would have been read weirdly. Okay? But I will say, right now, yeah, this is Talarico. Woke 1 was crazy. A cis white man should not be the next speaker of the council. Stop sending this to me. White people should not be allowed to sit on stoops in Bed-Stuy. America deserved 9/11 will always be read weirdly. You want to take it back now? I mean, I have literally apologized for that a day after. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? And it doesn't really matter, which is precisely the reason why you have to
Something that...
which is precisely the reason why you have to just like focus on the shit that does matter. Okay? The shit that actually matters is what you're fighting for. Okay? And what you're fighting for should be Medicare for all, free college, federal jobs guarantee, stopping the bombs. Okay? Stopping endless militarism, senseless destruction all around the world, focusing on ourselves, America first, you know? Shit like that. So it doesn't even matter if people are saying this kind of thing, right? All you got to do is turn around and you know, get back to the meat and potatoes. Make them look silly. You understand? Make them look silly. Make their focus be this stuff. Who cares? Don't compromise on these issues either. You don't have to. Give people something to vote for.
Love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the
trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
Something.
Damn, they clip chimped him pretty hard. This makes it a little bit more understandable. It's still pandering. It's still woke one. But that, damn, they clipped the fuck out of our boy. Holy shit. Okay, it does sound way different in context. It's still pander, for the record. Come on. It's you know, it's pander. It's pander Pope over here. It's pander city. Still very different than I love trans children end clip. And you blame people for doing the same thing to you? Well, here's the thing. My opinion on this has changed. Most people eat the clip chimp and then they never seek further. So if people were doing this, what we just did right now, right? Charitability and being invested in the truth. And wanting to understand further what the context is and not just eating the fucking bait, okay, then yeah, we would have way less problems in general. People never do that with someone like myself. As a matter of fact, when they see the context, they double down. I'm saying as someone who is supportive of Tallarico, he should not compromise on, defending trans adults, defending trans children, defending transgender people in general. And the best defense is a great offense. And the best offense is a comprehensive, multifaceted approach to all of the economic issues that Texans are facing, solutions to the economic problems that Texans are facing. Okay? You come out with a barrage of good policies that you are going to fight for when you are elected to the Senate, and people will look silly if they hyper focus on what you said about like transgender children or, you know, whatever the fucking clip compy barrage looks like. Do you understand what I'm saying? James Tallarico needs to go 2021 Hasanabi pronto. Yes. I mean, he also needs to grow a beard for sure. I've already said this. He just looks too nerdy. I've said this already. He looks way too nerdy. He needs to look less nerdy. He looks kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I know. They're tying him to Al-Qaeda. It's disgusting. We'll talk about that in a second. Ted Cruz stayed neutral in the Texas Senate runoff, but he was a vital early supporter of Ken Paxton for AG. Backed him when he was more country club Republicans backed Dan Branch 2014, and Cruz was a freshman senator. The ads are still on YouTube. Not that it matters. This is before we knew what a fucking demonic entity Ken Paxton was. He can't grow a beard. It's his religion. Wait, what? Actually? Are you guys fucking with me? I'll believe anything you tell me about Tallarico because he's literally like a blank sheet of white paper for me. I just, light bounces off of him, both literally and figuratively. So yeah.
It's Texas. This is not.
Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
This is
Oh my God, they clipped him on that too. But a lock on the door. Oh my God, Ken. Oh my God, Kenny Powers. Holy shit. This is, oh my God, dude. It is kind of funny watching the same techniques that have been deployed against me for my entire political commentary career play a formative role in American politics. This is at the fucking forefront. Everyone is rat fucking. Everyone's invested in hatchet jobs and rat fucking nowadays. It's not just like Roger Stone that used to do stuff like this and he was seen as like an outsider for that reason. Everyone does it now.
Texas. This is not.
It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign.
This is Texas. This is not.
Radical Tallarico, too low T for Texas. Ugh. Yeah, this dude needs to spend a week with me. I need to whip him up Get him into shape, okay? Get a couple videos of us pumping iron, eating big steaks, you know? Eating some barbecue. Wasn't he on the stream? No, he's not. He was supposed to be in the primaries. Yeah, send him 2-3 years to Dagestan, okay? Don't taint my vegan king. First of all, he's not vegan. There are so many photos of him wearing the fucking Texas shirt that I own as well, while eating fucking massive slabs of meat. And the campaign is not even remotely slick. Campaign's not even slick about it, too. They're just pumping that shit everywhere. Right? But yeah, if their argument against Tallarico is that he's woke and gay, he's a woke gay libtard, he's not for Texas, and Tallarico's argument is, hey, not only am I fucking Texas to the bone, but I also want every Texan to have health care, which argument's going to win out? Your policy pushing strats seems sound, work with Mamdani, but you don't think the ops would just do the same thing they're doing to you, run the fake rap sheet and clips to the ground? They're switching up to match the meta. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're fucking running it to the ground. Because elections are about what politicians can do for you. Elections in America, unfortunately, are about who politicians are and how they represent themselves. Because everyone has given up on the idea that a politician is supposed to fight for your fucking values or fight for the betterment of your material conditions. So we got to get back to that, is my argument. We got to get back to the basics. Clips only matter if you're just your campaign is just hot air. Clips only matter if you are not defined by things you want to be defined by. Or rather, if the things you want to be defined by are, vague, generalized statements about how woke you're going to be, or the only policy that you want to put on the forefront of your economic agenda, like Kamala did, was $50,000 in tax credits for HBU graduates that work in fucking underserved neighborhoods right after graduation. If that's your fucking policy agenda, then yeah, no one is gonna vibe with that. Okay? You should not be afraid. I don't know why there are still people who are clearly afraid of
teaching,
of pushing the boundaries. Tallarico every now and then comes out with statements like that make me appreciate him, ironically enough. But he is a part of the same group that McMorrow is a part of, majority Democrats. He's still a part of the same group that is looking to elect centrist candidates. So that scares me. That's my point. I'm being very fair about James Tallarico. I think if James Tallarico wants to fucking win, he has to come out with a bold, comprehensive vision for a change. He should be unafraid to shit on the Democrats, for example, which he has at times, and a lot of people were yelling at him. A lot of people were yelling at him in the primary for his criticisms of Joe Biden, for his criticisms of the Democratic Party. This is when he's supposed to criticize the Democratic Party. This is when he's supposed to fucking push the boundaries. Now in the Texas General, okay? There is a real opportunity here. There is a real opportunity for Tallarico to win. Tally Hive going to come after you now? No, they're not. Tally Hive is like half of you guys are fucking Tallarico supporters in Texas. What do you mean?
My principal told me that I was going to get this kid named Justin, who had gotten kicked out of his elementary school the year before because he had brought a knife to school and threatened to stab his 5th grade teacher. So I was, again, first-year teacher, kind of freaked out, right? The kid shows up. One, he's not a monster. He's an 11-year-old boy, right? Like this high, right? I took him aside, introduced myself, told him I was happy he was in class, told him I wanted to get to know him. He gradually started to raise his hand a little bit more in class. He was super smart, super just quick. He also had like a great smile. He's very popular with the girls in the class. A lot of personality. And I started to invite him to our little lunch group because I had kids who came and ate in my classroom during lunch, and we started to kind of build a rapport. And he didn't have a lot of male teachers, so I think that was helpful to see a guy as a teacher and be able to build a relationship with him. Anyway, right before winter break that year, it's the last day of school, he brought me this wrapped gift. The wrapping was all jankety, but I opened it up and it was this little cup with a snowflake on it that he had bought at the Dollar Tree for his teacher. Again, this is a kid who was going to stab his 5th grade teacher. A few months later, he's bringing a snowflake cup to his 6th grade teacher. And I was feeling like I was on top of the world as a teacher. I was like, who's going to make the movie, right? Like, here I am, right?
Sandra Bullock's going to play you in a movie.
Yeah, who's going to play me? And then I came back after winter break. I was in my 3rd period class, and I heard this commotion out in the hallway. So I immediately stepped out of the room to see what was going on. And there were 2 of our coaches, and they were both restraining Justin, either side of him. They were carrying him out of the school. He was screaming. His feet didn't touch the ground. Like, he literally was just carried out of the school. I found out that he had started a fight in his 3rd grade class, and that was his last strike. And it was the last time I ever saw Justin. I did some digging to figure out what had happened. Turns out in the previous semester, Justin had been seeing a therapist that was provided by the school district. And it was this lady that he really was hitting it off with and getting along with. And they were going through all his issues because Justin had been abandoned by his mother at a very early age, which that'll screw anybody up, right? Justin had experienced violence, had experienced all this trauma. And so for the first time, there was a professional who was helping him work his way through it. And there was a teacher who liked him and who believed in him. And that was all it took for Justin to see all these improvements. And I found out that after winter break, that because of budget cuts from the legislature, the district had eliminated the therapist. So this lifeline suddenly went away for Justin. So literally everybody had abandoned Justin, including his own mother. And now the adults that he was trying to trust again were abandoning him. And so that was the kind of radicalizing experience for me, because these people at the state capitol had cut $5 billion from our schools. Who knows why? Who knows what the justifications were? But I saw firsthand how that screwed up a kid's life. I saw the damage that did to real flesh and blood human beings. And so I promised myself right then that if I ever got a little bit of power or a little bit of influence, that I would do everything I could with every fiber of my being to stop that from happening again. So literally Justin and my students are the ones I think about when I'm at the Capitol. They are the criteria that I use to evaluate public policy, not if it's a Democratic bill or Republican bill, not if it's going to get me, ex-lobbyist support. It is, will this help my students or will it hurt my students? Period. And it makes things a lot easier. I have a picture of one of my class periods on my desk at the Capitol. So that is what got me into this whole mess. I miss being a teacher because I miss having that immediate impact. All the impact I make now, if I make any impact at all, feels very diffuse and far away because there's all these layers.
Yeah.
But I like to think that some of the bills I'm passing are at least helping teachers like me and students like mine.
Josh Force says, I don't have any feelings about James Tallarico, but it's interesting to see him telling a story which, one, by far the most effective way for politicians to communicate, and two, something most Democrats refuse to do on principle. I mean, dude, that's 4 minutes and 28 seconds of James Tallarico talking to Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan never actually fucking interrupts the conversation to be like, but what about the kitty litter that your children were shitting on? That's the whole point, right? So here's the thing. I wish I fully believed him, but he doesn't support Medicare for all, so the story pisses me off. I know. That's the issue with Tallarico, or also known as Talafrico. All right. Talafrico has really positive qualities. People complain about Plattner becoming Fetterman, but isn't James more likely? Yes. Tallarico has some interesting qualities. I don't like how he goes 80% of the way, but then like the last 20% is just like cookie cutter, straight up establishment liberal bullshit. Like, he is almost like a better Pete Buttigieg in some ways, because he has the background, and he also has like moved in a certain way in the state legislature as well. So he has that background and he has that experience of being somewhat of a progressive fighter. But he does do this thing that Pete Buttigieg does as well, which is to say the right words or to communicate effectively, but never say anything really at all that's all that different from the rest of the Democratic Party. And I don't like that at all. He's more palatable because there is a level of sincerity backing his statements, especially with his experience as well. But I am very untrustworthy. I am not very trusting of candidates like that. I've been burned many, many times over. Okay? If you were to give me the James Tallarico campaign, the things I would do are as follows. Number one, and this is order of priority. Before we even put the fucking policies in the bag, before we even fix the policies, get minoxidil and put it all over your face so you can grow a thicker beard. Okay? That's number one. Straight up. You have to stop looking like Alfred E. Newman, which is what Donald Trump is calling him. Like, low-key, he kind of does look like that. He has too much of like Mormon face somehow. I don't know how else to describe it. He looks like Moral Oral, right? You got to look like a chud and think like a woke. We've already established that. So that's number one. Number two, which ironically enough, Pete Buttigieg has taken my advice on this. He is doing this, but that's besides the point. Okay. So that's number one. That's the first thing, first order of priority. Number two, go back to the fucking policy agenda and immediately put forward a comprehensive, bold, radical vision for change. Don't shy away from criticizing the Democratic Party. Show the rest of Texas that you're a different kind of Democrat, not the type of Democrat that they're used to. This will also draw a lot of enmity from the institutional Democrats and the party itself. That's really good for you. You're in Texas. The more Chuck Schumer complains about you saying shit about Israel, the better it is for you in Texas. And before people say, oh my God, it's Texas, people love Israel in Texas, wrong. Okay? Wrong. You're wrong about that. It's not true. There is no place in the United States of America where the overwhelming majority are pro-Israel. Not amongst the independents. No way, Jose. You understand? Doesn't exist. Nope, doesn't matter. Evangelicals as well. It doesn't matter. The people that like Israel are already voting for the Republicans. The only group in this country that loves Israel unconditionally and wants to vote for Israel or pro-Israel candidates in this country are already lifelong Republican Party voters. They're already voting for the Republicans. You're not winning those guys over. They're fucking insane. They're a part of the MAGA cult. They're fucking insane. They've never voted for a Democrat and they will never vote for a Democrat. Drop that shit, okay? You are conceding to no one. You will not get a single fucking voter in the state of goddamn Texas for having a middle-of-the-road approach to Israel. Okay? Not a single fucking voter. You will not earn a single voter. I must repeat this. However, you will draw a lot of ire from the likes of Chuck Schumer, from all of the bicoastal elite, smug Israel-first Democrats. And you know what? Those are some of the least popular Democrats all around the country, and especially in the state of Texas. So getting people to yell at you from the rest of the Democratic Party is a good thing here, because these are the Democrats that Texans fucking hate. You get to show that you are sometimes unafraid to fight back against your own party in a good way. Democrats show this in the worst ways possible. Democrats think if you're in a fucking red state and you want to show that you're pragmatic or you're a heterodox type of Democrat in a red state, that you're invested in tax credits or deregulation, the deregulatory agenda. That's fucking stupid. There is already a 90-10 issue in the base. There's already an issue in Israel that you can actually draw a lot more support from independents on, and you'll piss off the worst fucking Democrats out there. It's a fantastic opportunity. Seize on it. Okay? Same with Medicare for all. It's not just Israel, but it's a lot of this stuff, like Medicare for all is a bold, populist, left flank attack that will, again, draw a lot of ire and a lot of enmity from some of the least popular groups. The problem with Tallarico is, The problem with James Tallarico, unfortunately, is that he's backed by those groups, right? Those groups are backing him. Let's be real. The majority Dems are the same groups that are pushing for Mallory McMorrow are also pushing for James Tallarico. And that's a problem. He's got Liz Smith in the corner. I don't think he's going to change some of that strategy. But that's definitely what I would do. Because remember, the best defense is a perfect offense. And the more you go on the offense, and I don't mean like attack Ken Paxton. You should definitely do that, but that's not what I'm talking about. The best offense, the best defense is a aggressive offense, and the most aggressive posture offensively that you can engage in politics is having a clear-cut policy-backed agenda that people can attach themselves to, people can identify with, people want. Okay? That's it. What caused Kamala Harris to lose was that she did not have a comprehensive vision for change at a time when people were looking for change in this country. And they proved that they were looking for change by voting for Donald Trump. Okay, he was the change candidate somehow. It's ridiculous, but it's true. Kamala Harris did not have a clear-cut agenda that she was defined by, so her opposition defined her for her. That's the reason why they were able to define her as like, oh, Kamala Harris is for they, them, not you, right? Anti-war, fix the potholes, fix the ISPs, Medicare for all, free college for all. These are things that we can do, but for far too long, we focused all of our efforts on waging unnecessary wars. You say that, a lot of Texans are going to fucking believe in you. You say that, a lot of Texans are going to agree with you. Just say that, please. Please. It's okay to ruffle some goddamn feathers, all right?
To respond or clarify.
Here, let's look at the barrage. They're emptying out the motherfucking clip on them.
In 2021, in a speech during debate over transgender issues, you said God is non-binary. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think I was being intentionally provocative with that statement. But what it means is that God can't be defined by human categories. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, says that in Christ there is neither male nor female. I'm always going to stand up for Texans who are being picked on by the most powerful, most corrupt politicians in the country, and I'm going to continue doing that in this race and hopefully in the U.S. Senate.
You call it intentionally provocative. Do you regret describing it that way or talking about God that way?
No.
Say
no.
There are some statements that I've made that
Say no. Double down. Double down. KFC double down. Be like, no, man, I'm a fucking pastor. What, you don't like it? I'm a goddamn pastor. I'm a fucking priest. I'm an educator. Why are we having a theological discourse right now with people who are the least godly motherfuckers I've ever seen in my entire life? You think Ken Paxton is close to God? I'm a fucking pastor. It's in the Bible. Or a minister, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever, some fucking religious thing. Isn't he something? He's something, right? He's like he's a priest. Is that the right term? I don't fucking know this Christian stuff, okay? Yeah. He's a Presbyterian. Okay, whatever. Whatever. There is no reason for you to apologize for things that you have done that are not wrong, things that you believe, okay? Because guess what? We say a million different things every single day. And if you believe this, then you shouldn't apologize for saying it, because there's going to be other instances where they'll hit you on that, and then you look wishy-washy and hypocritical and silly and stupid.
that I certainly regret. There are statements that I've made where I've missed the mark. I'll be the first to admit that. But Ken Paxton is intentionally clipping my cringy comments to distract from his career of corruption.
Okay, that's not bad. Good. All right, good. He flipped it back. All right.
Ken Paxton has a criminal record. I have a legislative record. I've served for 4 terms in the Texas House of...
That's also a good line. Damn, okay. Okay, Swaggerico. I've got a legislative record. He's got a criminal record. Hell, okay, I like it. Okay. Can you fix him? He needs to fucking grow a beard. This is not working. I've said this before. Look. You know how black people don't fuck with Pete Buttigieg no matter what? And it's not even because he was like a fucking small town mayor where, you know, the police chief did some fucked up shit. Like, there's something untrustworthy, I think, that I have seen in a similar vein with the way that James Tallarico operates that make black people go, I don't know about this guy. Okay? And I trust that instinct. There's something about it. And even if I didn't trust that instinct, you still have to lean into that. You still have to lean into that skepticism that exists out there, and you have to fix it. Okay? Pull up the picture of him with the edited hair. I already, didn't I show it? Wasn't it here somewhere? No, I guess we yeeted it. Maybe not a full beard, but stubble has to be prominent for sure. He's too white. Okay? He too white, and I'm a black person who likes white guys. That's what I mean. He is. He's like, yeah, this is, like, this helps a little bit, I think. I think, like, this is not, like, all the way there, but it definitely helps. You know how I've always said Pete Buttigieg, Mitt Romney, and J.D. Vance have the vibes of a guy that the middle of the country knows very well. When those guys come into town, your coal mine's shutting down. When those guys come into your town, they're eliminating redundancies. Consultant guys, right? James Tallarico has a little bit of that, even though he's not that at all, right? Y'all want him to be Cuban? I just want him to not be so pasty. No disrespect. Beard help Ezra Klein a bit too? Oh, for sure. Do the Hasanabi look. Scruff on the sides, mustache, grow out the mustache, scruffy beard. 5 o'clock shadow with the mustache, even better than this. He's got to change the hair too, honestly. I don't know about the low taper fade or whatever, but like, new attack ad by Tallarico.
Remind us all, what is Attorney General Paxton accused of doing?
The list is really long.
Bribery, dereliction of duty, obstruction of justice,
and conspiracy. A majority of Texas House Republicans voted to impeach one of their own.
60 Republicans voting in favor. Allegations he abused his office to benefit himself and a major donor who allegedly paid for his home renovations and even helped him cover up an affair.
They claim the AG.
You want him to look like Paul Wall? Buddy, Paul Wall is one of the most beloved white guys of all time in the black community. What are you talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The answer is yes.
Used secret email accounts, burner phones, and a fake Uber account to see his mistress.
Paxton is a repugnant character. He's always been on the edge of sort of criminal activity.
3 felony fraud charges which have lingered for 9 long years.
And in between it all, the state's top attorney had a mugshot.
There are calls for Ken Paxton to step down.
Ken Paxton is an extremely flawed candidate, and I sense the worst is yet to come about his background.
Yeah, you can do a power hour on Republicans in the state that have shitted on him. Okay, shitted and farted on him. Ken Paxton is so unbelievably weak, bro. He better than Paul Dano and there will be blood. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm talking about. You got to not look like this. You got to move away from looking like that. Do a stream with Tallarico shopping for grills from Johnny Dang. He needs to campaign with and speak of Representative Haynes Church. Haynes, who has replaced Crockett in the House. Yeah, this is my goat. Frederick Haynes is probably one of the candidates I'm the most excited about. Justice Democrat as well. He is incredible. This look at the date, October 8th, 2023. I've shown this before. The night that Jasmine Crockett lost, I was like, wow, you know, it's like God. God came in and intervened in this election, okay? This is the unbelievable upgrade that we're getting in Texas to replace Jasmine Crockett with this gem.
Because I recognize that we got to be pro-Israel.
Yeah, we got to do that. Or we get in trouble. Because I recognize that we got to be pro-Israel. Yeah, we got to do that. Or we get in trouble. Well, I'm coming to get in trouble. Israel, and I'm going to quote Jim.
Jasmine Crockett was at this sermon, by the way, and she was not listening to anything my man was saying, okay?
Jimmy Carter says that Israel is engaging in apartheid with Palestinians.
I love that he's apartheid.
The Palestinians who don't have the weaponry of Israel, the Palestinians don't have the financial backing from the United States that Israel has. And so they throw their rocks and shoot their arrows, and Israel is able to bomb them and kill them. Watch in the news the disparity between Palestinians being killed and Israelis being killed. It is totally unfair, but this country's going to stand on the side of apartheid because that's its track record. It stood by apartheid in South Africa because it created apartheid in this country.
Dude, come on. Come on, dude. God, he's so fucking dope. Oh my God, he's so fucking sick. He's so dope. He's like the opposite of the young guy who just unseated Al Green. He had a really good one on Charlie Kirk too. This man is a weapon, okay? I need you to understand. This man, if things went right, he would be president one day. He should be president one day. No, it's not Jeremiah Wright. This is what he said after Charlie Kirk, political violence. I'm not going to get into it again. We've already run the clip copy before on this broadcast, okay? I love him. And also, from what I understand, yes, he is a righteous weapon. A weapon to wield by the righteous. But he is incredible. I hope he doesn't get hit with the radical liberal Raphael Warnock ray. I do worry about that a little bit. That was worse than black scent. It's not black scent. It's just Southern preacher scent. I can't do a black preacher voice. I'm too woke for that. You can't catch me. All right. We're not going to watch the Charlie Kirk one. Anyway, who knows? Who knows how he will carry himself? And you know what kind of campaigning he'll do, but if he keeps that energy, oh my Lord, dude! Apparently, he's a legend in his community as well.
Representatives, where I brought Democrats and independents together to actually make progress for people. I brought Republican legislators and Democratic legislators together to cut property taxes, to raise teacher pay, to lower the cost of housing and childcare and prescription drugs. I've passed more than 60 bipartisan bills as a legislator. I've also called out the extremes in both parties, on the left and the right. I have called out Ken Paxton for his blatant corruption, but I also called out President Biden for failing to secure our southern border. So,
and I want to get to the border in a second. Let me run one more by
Yeah.
you because again, the president, other Republicans are already
Sure.
bringing it up. Again in 2021.
Yeah, God, this is the type of stuff that I just don't like. Like this is a person that is speaking to what he thinks is the right audience. And whenever I start hearing that like focus tested messaging, I check out because it seems insincere. I don't know if like the average voter actually hears that and also thinks it's insincere, but I wish that, like, you know what's better than this? Having conviction. When I start hearing DNC consultants speak, immediately I'm like worried. I'm very, very, very worried. Right? What is this saying? Talarico is not supported by black people because it doesn't appeal to black swagger and black instinct? No, there is a skepticism with the likes of Pete Buttigieg and stuff, no matter how hard they try, where black people don't fuck with Pete Buttigieg. Okay? Like, I don't know why you got all weird and orientalist with it. You have to remember that Talarico had to navigate the Republican majority in Texas legislature to get anything done. He's currently coded that way. They've been crashing out in chat for like 10 minutes. Oh, they have been? I haven't noticed what Aphex Twizzy is saying. You're saying Talarico is failing with black voters because he doesn't put on an act. You are saying he needs to. No, I think he needs to have more swag for sure. I mean, it's campaign. Yeah, optics do matter. The right kind of optics matter, though. I'm giving you an example of the wrong kind of optics, the wrong kind of performance, which is being wishy-washy, middle of the road on certain issues, and not doing the right kind of optics, which is to change your look a little bit. Okay? And it's not just black people necessarily. I'm just saying that, like, I'm using Pete Buttigieg as a launching pad to say, like, why certain people look at, like you dead ass said, chains and grills, bro. Okay, just stop, dude. That's what is known as a fucking joke. I don't think he has to wear fucking chains and grills, dumbass. That part is a joke. I thought you could discern between what's fucking a joke and what's not. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he needs to put on a do-rag, dude. Yeah, why do I fucking need haters when I got long-term community members who are like, wow, I can't believe you want him to do blackface. Like, yeah, that's what I genuinely, sincerely am advocating for. This is Woke One Remnants coming back into the chat. Son, I have government overreach. I hope they stop messing with you. Best of luck. Love from a lurker. Thank you, chatter.
While debating
You hate government overreach, right?
a bill that restricted transgender student athletes, you said modern science acknowledges 6 biological variations based on chromosomes to argue that sex is a nuanced spectrum, not a strict binary. Do you still believe there are 6 biological sexes?
I know there are 2 sexes, men and women. I also know there's a very small percentage of people who have these chromosomal abnormalities, and I believe they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Not bad. Not bad. This is a tricky subject, even if you're not fucking running for office. That's why the Biden answer was the funniest and perhaps the best, where he's like, at least 3. I've never once guessed correctly about the joke discernment is Autism 1.0 and there are no upcoming updates in the firmware. I'm afraid we're running this patch for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's fine. At least 3. There's no good answer to this question. Okay? The best possible answer is, dude, just let people live. Okay? That's like, I know some people get mad. People who are up to date with like the latest trans technology, for example, they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like, we've poured through the data. Here's the right answer. And then like a couple months later, there's a new version of it. It's updated patch notes. And it's like, just if you're running for office, like the best possible answer to give to that question is, look, I just want people to live free. Okay. I want people to live their best lives. That's it. I don't want to intervene in their affairs. I feel like that's un-American. And I feel like that's not the Texas method either. I care about what's inside. Okay. I care about protecting my neighbors and what's inside. All right. I'm not going to spend any time trying to tell people what they can and can't do. That's goddamn libtard communism, brother. Okay. What is this, a communist country? I didn't think so. I thought this was Texas we're talking about. Yee. No?
The other one they keep harping on, and it's perhaps the most curious of all, they say you're a vegan.
I'm not a vegan. I'm an 8th generation Texan. I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment.
That's even better, I think. Even better with a mullet. Oh my God. Like a little bit of a mullet. Oh, damn.
And this campaign basically runs on Texas barbecue. If all they have is lying about me being a vegan, I feel pretty good about our chances this November.
Ken Paxton is taken to calling you Talafrico. That's awesome. Talafrico.
Ken Paxton, your opponent, has taken to calling you Talafrico.
Well, I think if Ken Paxton is worried about freaks, he should stop giving Epstein-style sweetheart deals to pedophiles.
Oh! True. It's like, dude, that's an attack ad in and of itself to be like, are you safe? Do you feel safer in the state of Texas with Ken Paxton as your attorney general? Here are the pedophiles that he has released back into the fucking wild. Okay? That's another great one. See, he has gems, okay? Gem alert. He has moments. He has moments where I'm like, that's great. Yeah, the Texas Senate race basically hinges on how much people know about this case by the time they vote. Yeah, straight up. Straight up.
This is the guy who just released Adam Hoffman from jail, an admitted child rapist, after one of Ken Paxton's wealthy lawyer friends got involved in the case. Ken Paxton even kept him off the sex offender registry. Adam Hoffman was supposed to serve 25 years to life, but instead he served less than a month. As of this week, he's now back on our streets because of Ken Paxton's corruption. Ken Paxton is the most corrupt politician in America, and it is costing Texans. It's endangering our children, and it must end. I think the Epstein class has no place in Texas, and this November, we're going to come together to defeat Ken Paxton and take back our state for the people.
Ken Paxton.
Great take. No notes. Absolutely fucking goated. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Ken Paxton loves pedophiles. What the fuck is up with that? That's it. Just run that. Run that into the goddamn ground. Run that until everyone only associates the name Ken Paxton with early release for pedophiles. That's it. Oh, yeah. Speaking of good Dem rhetoric on trans kids is Tom Steyer.
You talked about
billionaire speaks fluent woke. Shocks the world. Okay.
Trans people. I'm totally in favor of trans athletes in high school. I think when you understand the vulnerability, the stress, the danger of being a trans kid, and you understand that almost half of them try to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And then you think we're going to punish those kids. We're going to cut them off from team sports. We're going to cut them off from participating in the community. We're going to cut them off from fun. It's like, no, we're not. No, we're not. And, you know, as someone who played sports my whole life and loves sports and love playing sports, there are more important things than whether you start on your high school basketball team. And that is standing up for people who are under threat of death. You talked about trans.
Dude, come on. Come on. Fluent woke, dude. You know what I'm talking about? That's that swagged out white boy. It's good. It shows courage. It shows conviction. Okay? This is important. This is what matters. It doesn't matter if you don't fucking agree with it. Okay? Bank like a chud, think like a woke, talk like a woke. Appreciating answers that aren't focus tested. Jesus fucking Christ is refreshing. Yeah. Norway joins France's nuclear deterrence club. Nice. Okay. So yeah, let's get back to this fucking psychopath. I mean, he has a laundry list of crimes. By the way, just straight up crimes. Not even just, not on some exaggerating shit, just an actual criminal who is the Attorney General of the state of Texas.
2020 election, a quote, true MAGA warrior, and calling Cornyn now disloyal. It's now the fourth time in less than a month that the president has put his thumb on the scale in a primary to oust a Republican. Cornyn, though, was not disloyal to President Trump in the Senate and was largely supportive. Paxton, for his part, has had a series of scandals that he has survived, including a push from his own Texas Republicans to impeach him over accusations of infidelity and corruption. He's denied any wrongdoing. He was later acquitted in the state Senate. But there were some Republicans who were angry with this choice by Trump, concerned that it could put this critical Senate seat in play and give an opening to the Democratic challenger here, James Tallarico, who this morning is already courting Cornyn voters and trying to flip that Senate seat blue for the first time in more than 3 decades, George.
And Jay, the Democrats got another boost yesterday in the redistricting battles.
A significant win and a setback for President Trump and his push.
He's also unbelievably busted. He is so fucking chopped. Ken Paxton is so chopped, dude. I think that's gotta play for something, right? That's gotta mean something in the race. Come on now. He's both busted inside and outside. No redeemable qualities.
Push to redraw congressional districts to benefit Republicans. In Alabama, a federal court blocking that state from instituting new congressional maps that would eliminate one of 2 majority black congressional districts in that state. The state has vowed to appeal. And in South Carolina, Republicans defying that push of Trump's to redistrict and eliminate the state's only majority black congressional district, which has long been represented by Democratic Congressman Jim Clyburn. George.
Jay O'Brien, thanks.
This is the first time you've joined us where you know who you'll be running against in November. Is this the campaign you wanted, Tallarico versus Paxton? Is this the opponent you wanted out of this Republican primary?
This is an attractive politician.
Well, Ken Paxton embodies the broken political system that we're running against. He is the most corrupt politician in America. 3 years ago tomorrow, he was impeached by his own party for using his public office, his position of public trust, to enrich himself and his donors at our expense. And that is exactly the problem in our politics. It's puppet politicians who serve themselves and their billionaire mega donors instead of serving us. It's why we can't afford anything. It's why we can't get ahead no matter how hard we work. The system is rigged by corrupt politicians like Ken Paxton. And so it's going to be all of us. It's going to be Democrats, independents, and Republicans. It's going to be urban Texans, rural Texans, suburban Texans. It's going to be all of us coming together, the people versus Ken Paxton.
Let's listen to what Ken Paxton had to say about you tonight. And I have to tell you, I don't know if you've heard this already, but he spent a good deal of his victory speech tonight talking just about you. Here's what he had to say about you.
Yeah, that also isn't a bad thing. That means that he's worried, right?
My opponent is the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated. He's even running a vegan campaign, whatever that is. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six-Gender Jimmy. I've even
Damn, she nutted, bro. Look at her face. She's like, oh, can he say that? Is he allowed to say that? Look at her face.
Six-Gender Jimmy.
They love the Barbaras and the Debras and the Jedediahs fucking went crazy for that. Like, damn, absolute zinger. 6 genders? That's too many genders.
I've even heard some people call him James Tallarico. And others refer to him.
Oh, wow. We heard it. You can hear her go, oh, wow. Oh, bruh, I am working surrounded by women like this. Oh, my God. Some of the most vicious. Tallarico's 37 and not married. He says he has a girlfriend. He called her his best friend. He's not revealing her identity because he wants to protect her privacy. Why haven't we ever seen her before? Yeah, I think it's understandable. But of course, Jesse Waters is like, let me see your girlfriend. Let me see your girlfriend right now. What kind of car does she drive? What's the tire pressure looking like? I don't think you're right about the facial hair. Stupid.
Simply as Low T Tallarico.
Low T Tallarico. Brother, I'm going to be honest. I guess this is an advantage for Tallarico as well. That like Ken Paxton also sounds unbelievably low T. So it's kind of funny that he's like, you know what he is? Actually, Low T Tallarico. I'm being dangerous. It's so stupid. The woman who made that face is my cousin, says the orb lady. Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that.
You call him, let me tell you this. James Tallarico is a threat to everything we hold dear in this state and in this country. He's a threat to our security and our safety. He wants open borders and even said a welcome mat should be at our southern border. He's a threat to our children. He wants boys and girls sports, gender mutilation surgery performed on kids. And when asked what he loved outside of his family and friends, you heard what Brandon Gill said. His first answer was trans kids. That's weird, and that's a radical guy. He's a threat to our prosperity and Texas economy. He said you can't be a Christian if you support the oil and gas industries. He wants to raise your taxes, and he won't do a single thing to lower costs for you and your family. And finally, he's a threat to our very way of life and our values. I mean, he's a vegan who thinks God is non-binary and that there's actually 6 biological sexes. It's hard to imagine someone more radical than that. No matter what he says or how much he raises, the reality is that James Tallarico is going to be nothing more than a Texas-based puppet for Chuck Schumer and the National Democrats.
See, this is why I said, if James Tallarico came out and was like, yo, Israel sucks, and then boom, Chuck Schumer's like, why are you saying that? All of a sudden, like, these are unbelievably unpopular people, especially in Texas, but all around the country. Use that to your advantage. Draw some enmity from the rest of the party. Show that you're a heterodox kind of Democrat. You're not a normal kind of Democrat, right? Right? Those people yelling at you, those people in Washington, D.C. yelling at you or not showing you support is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Yeah, by the way, it is very funny that that Ken Paxton is like, oh, James Tallarico is a threat to our children. Brother, you just every other week you're releasing another pedophile. Like, what are you talking about? There hasn't been a pedophile that you were like, we should keep this one behind bars yet. And you're out here being like, that's not a threat. That's not a threat to your children. The pedophiles that I have released into the public, into the wild, without even having them get on the sex offender registry, that's not a threat to your kids. James Tallarico is? Okay, buddy. Sure.
That is it. That is, as of tonight, the Paxton campaign against you. What is your equal time response to that?
Child rapists with the Attorney General on their case is a Republican.
Ken Paxton is morally unfit for office. He'll lie to you with a straight face. He's failed the character test. He's the most corrupt Attorney General of our lifetime, and he puts the interests of himself over the laws of Texas. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of Ken Paxton's fellow Republicans.
True. Bars. It's true. God, Ken Paxton is, oh my God. Dude, Ken Paxton has a laundry list of crimes and an even longer list of Republicans that despise him in the fucking state.
Working Texans, Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike are going to come together to defeat the most corrupt politician in America and the broken political system that he represents.
So he's going after you in very personal terms. He's calling you, he's got names for you that we just heard. I don't want to repeat some of those. But obviously, he's going to spend a great deal of his time talking about you and transgender issues and children. What do you want Texas voters to understand about that?
Well, this is how puppet politicians like Ken Paxton stay in power. You know, he's spent his entire career selling us out for his donors. And that, I think, is going to be apparent to Texans over the course of this race. And so the only way he's going to hold on to power is through distraction and division. This is the oldest strategy in the world, divide and conquer. They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, by all this culture war stuff. So we don't notice that they're picking our pockets, that they are closing our public schools all over Texas. They are gutting our healthcare, raising our premiums for Texans all over the state. And they are raising taxes on all of us while they cut taxes for themselves. And so I think Texans see through this game. They realize that we're being pitted against each other with these old, tired culture war fights so that corrupt politicians like Ken Paxton can hold on to power and continue to enrich themselves and their billionaire mega donors.
What about Texas voters who want to know from you on this particular issue? Is Ken Paxton...
Why is he doing an Obama impression? I don't know, dude. That's what every fucking politician does.
Paxton telling the truth about you in relation to these issues, especially involving what he was just talking about there, transgender issues involving children?
No, Ken Paxton is clipping comments, taking them out of context to try to paint a picture, trying to paint me as someone I'm not. You know, Ken Paxton has a criminal record. I have a legislative record over 4 terms in the Texas House of Representatives,
Nice.
where I've brought Democrats and Republicans together to pass more than 60 bipartisan bills to cut property taxes, to raise teacher pay, to lower the cost of housing, prescription drugs, and childcare across Texas. And I'm going to put that record up against Ken Paxton's criminal record any day of the week, twice on Sunday. I've called out the extremes in both parties, on the right and the left. You know, I've called out Ken Paxton for his blatant illegal corruption, but I also called out President Biden when he failed to secure our southern border. So I'm not interested in going to Washington, D.C. to serve one political party. I'm going to Washington, D.C. to serve the people of Texas. That's the exact opposite of what Ken Paxton does. He serves himself and his billionaire mega donors at the expense.
He's just the Andy Bashar carbon copy? I don't think so. Was Biden actually all that bad on the border? No, but it doesn't matter. You can't even say that. Everyone will yell at you. He was bad on the border, but not for the reasons that you think he was. Okay? The reason why he was bad on the border is because he didn't actually create a fucking expedited process, allow for amnesty to take place for existing migrants on U.S. soil, and fund the court system that would allow people to come in and seek asylum and be able to work on U.S. soil without any other infractions. Because the current way that the immigration structure exists was burdensome and is still burdensome, where immigrants come in, they're not allowed to fucking work. They have to rely on tax dollars to go and like stay at hotels or whatever. They were also shipped to other parts of the country in an effort to make the system brick. And it did. It successfully broke the existing immigration processing system anyway. And Biden didn't do anything about it. He should have prosecuted the governor of Texas and the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis and Abbott. Like, he should have literally prosecuted them for human trafficking, right? He didn't do that shit either. And he ate the consequences
of the people of the state.
You just heard Ken Paxton say that you are for open borders. What's your response to that?
I just told you that they were, clipping things that I've said.
See, I'm telling you, they're making fun of his looks. I mean, this is a losing argument regardless, but, it is one area, I guess, that they've foresee as an area of weakness.
So take it away.
Correction, it's Talafrico.
Okay.
And they nominated someone more effeminate than Beto, and I can't wait for this race to get underway. Did you know that he looks prepubescent?
These are the notes you took?
Did you know that he looks like the guy that leaves an apple on the teacher's desk? That's this guy. Now, the major factor in this race, Greg, is whether Talafrico's vegan.
So take it away.
Talafrico is a cool name. I don't think that's a bad name, but yeah, here is Jesse Waters being a whole ass freak again, talking about how Talarico doesn't have a girlfriend.
He's also 37 and not married.
Okay. He's like, oh, I don't believe you have a girlfriend. Thank you. Dude. That's your next Democratic senator from the state of Texas. This is what I was saying. Look like a woke, or look like a chud, think like a woke. Look like a chud, act like a woke. Look like a chud, act like a chud, talk like a woke. Think like a woke. I'm telling you, he looks like a cop. Who cares? The fuck? What are you talking about? He looks like a cop? That's great. That's great. The more cop-like he looks, the better. What are you talking? It's not even just for Texas, for anywhere. That juxtaposition is why your boy is as successful as he is. Look at me. Look at the way I carry myself, and look at the way I look, and then look at the way I think, and look at the way I talk. I am the fucking prototype. The reason why so many people on the effete hyper woke left despise me from the start is because I sound like a bro and I look like a bro. Okay? And they can't get over that, but that's actually good. Okay? That's a good thing. The more the more not palpable I am to the hyper woke crowd, because I'm too manly or whatever the fuck, or too bro-y, right? Too much like a frat bro, the better it is for the average person. It's not like I'm saying compromise on your values. I never have, and I never will. I'm incapable of growing a beard. I'm never going to be a chud. No, there's ways that you can do it. You got too much of a chip on your shoulder. We all know if you were in the same spot, they'd be bringing up your super woke photos with your fedora. It don't matter. Who gives a fuck? Look at how I look now. People are voting right now. Who gives a shit?
Let's get into this. He says just recently that he has a girlfriend, and they've been together for 4 years. And he called her his best friend. And she was his rock. And he's not revealing her identity because he wants to respect her privacy and keep her safe during the campaign.
Does she live in Canada?
Now, if the campaign has only been going on for less than a year and they've been dating for 4 years, why haven't we ever seen this woman before?
Yeah, Jesse Waters like, I need to see your girlfriend. Show me your girlfriend. It's not weird. I just need to see it. Come on, show me your girlfriend, please. I would like to see how sexy she is.
Basically, what I'm saying is this: she exists. We're going to find out, because if he wins, are they going to have a coming out party? Or is she still going to stay the secret girlfriend? And is this totally not fake girlfriend also a vegan? This race, this is a great race to cover.
So, Harold, I'm willing to bet.
It's just in the beginning. It's fine. Get this dude off my screen. Shut up. Hold on. I'm working on something right now. Okay, I'm trying to center this thing. Okay. That's good, I think. Okay. Do you think Tallarico has a chance? Yes. Hassan, I missed your thoughts on Tallarico. How can I rewind? Oh, easy. Easiest answer of my life. Who's the mystery guest? There's no mystery guest. It's in the fucking chat. It's literally in the title. Okay, none of you guys actually ever look at the title, but is Julie Gonzalez. She's running for Senate in the state of Colorado. Okay. Here, let's watch her ad
one
first.
Look around and ask, who's in control? Insurance companies dictate our doctors, rogue, masked agents decide whether our neighbors stay or disappear. The establishment, the oligarchs, they tell us that they have enough for bombs and for ballrooms, but that they ain't got enough for us. I'm Julie Gonzalez, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate to take back control for us.
Hi.
At the state capitol, I brought
Nice to
in
meet you.
$500 million for
Running
affordable
in.
housing, held toxic polluters to account. We codified abortion protections into state law. But what are we getting out of Washington? John Hickenlooper has been in office for over 20 years. I know we're not fooled by his so-called common sense approach, because there is no sense in voting for Donald Trump's nominees or parading across the country to tell us we don't want universal health care when millions of families are struggling to make ends meet every month. This go-along to get-along politics is robbing
come a
us
little bit closer.
blind, while
I'm gonna put you in the
billionaires
frame,
and the
sorry.
politicians they There we go. control sit pretty with the status quo. You want to buy a house? Good luck. You want to start a family? How much money you got in your bank account? That's how the establishment has rigged our economy. Colorado, we can have nice things. We just need a senadora who will fight for us. Our campaign is built to take on the machine and win. We start right here, right now, building a movement that is ready to rip the reins away from the billionaires and put them back into the hands of the people. I'm Julie Gonzalez, and it's time to take back control for Colorado.
Banger. All right, Julie Gonzalez is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Right as we start, we have a thing where we bring in some gifts. There you go. Thank you. Some of your favorite things, apparently.
Orale. Thank you so much. Oh, this is so kind. Thank you.
What explain to the chat what your requests? Well, not your request, but what
Some
we found
tea?
in your deep with our deep insight, deep research.
Well, I will say I love me some tea. I'm always a fan of a good chai. I love some mangoes. But the thing I will say is that when folks ask me, what is my favorite snack? I will say chisme. Good gossip. I'm here for it. That is the thing that brings me great joy. And so I'm glad to be able to visit with you and talk about this moment.
All right, Julie Gonzalez, the candidate for U.S. Senate in Colorado, current state senator in Colorado, SD 34, Jefferson Park, Highland, Sunnyvale, Sun Valley, Globeville, and the like. I'm not going to get into all of it. It's too many places that you're covering. The primary date is on June 30th, 2026, and your opponent is John Hickenlooper.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna get right into it. You were born on the San Carlos Apache Reservation in Arizona. You were raised in South Texas. You're the sixth of 7 kids. Your mom was a rodeo queen who became a teacher. Your dad was a cattle rancher who is now a medical cannabis grower in northern New Mexico. Why do you call yourself a senadora? And how does growing up along the militarized southern border shape how you talk about immigration today?
Absolutely. Well, I'll just say that my family, we're the kind of old school Chicanos where we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Mm-hmm.
And, growing up for my mom, growing up in the Valley in Southern Colorado, she got married, had 2 kids, and then was widowed. And no one was swooping in to save her, And so she was widowed for 9 years before she met my dad. And then my dad, when my mom was pregnant with me, got a job managing 5 different ranches on the San Carlos Apache Reservation in San Carlos, Arizona. And that's why the family joke is like I was made in Colorado but born in Arizona, and lived there on the res until I was 10 years old. And I have to be very honest. For me, as a Chicana, being on the reservation where it was so clearly divided between Apache, indigenous people, and white folks, I was neither. And so I remember having a lot of questions around identity and what have you. But 5-year-old Julie didn't have an answer for how race works or how power works or anything like that. When I was 10, my dad got a job managing a different ranch, this time on the border of South Texas. And we moved there in the summer of 1993. And so the history nerds in the chat will know that in January of 94, that's when NAFTA was enacted. And so I, as a middle schooler, watched the militarization of the border play out. All of a sudden, Border Patrol agents had keys to all of the fences and all the gates. All of a sudden, you could hear back in those days, the immigration enforcement officers, back then they were INS, right? Not ICE.
Yeah.
They'd talk about, oh, look, we see some electronic monitoring equipment showing some activity. And my dad would get on a CB radio and say, we just moved cattle into that pasture. It demonstrated to me that we allowed policies that allowed the free movement of goods and services across borders, but not people, did not give human beings that same dignity.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I, came up in the immigrant rights movement, people would say, well, if you don't like it here, go back to where you came from, as if, what, you're going to deport me back to the res in Arizona? Are you going to deport me back to where my people are from Southern Colorado? No, I critique this country because we have been here since before it was this country. And we demand better. So right now, seeing how ICE is terrorizing our communities, seeing how even American citizens are being murdered in broad daylight is a demonstration of the impunity with which ICE is acting in this moment and why I believe it needs to be abolished.
Okay, hell yeah. Before you ran for anything, you spent 12 years as a community organizer at Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition, Padres y Jóvenes Unidos. Am I saying that right?
Jóvenes.
Jóvenes Unidos, Reform Immigration for America, and the Meyer Law Office. You've said the day Denver passed the Public Safety Enforcement Priorities Act in 2017 was the day you decided to file for office. Tell us about the act and why do you believe this is the right time to enter federal politics?
Well, when Donald Trump came down that golden escalator, right, back in 2015, by that point, we had seen both Democrats and Republicans be completely willing to chuck immigrants under the bus in order to score cheap political points.
Yeah.
Right? Like back in those days, you know, Barack Obama, as great a president as he was, also deported a record number of immigrants, right? And I came up in the time when, you know, saying I'm undocumented was an act of courage, right? Because the Obama administration was actively deporting Dreamers and was a founder of the national network United We Dream, right? Like we had started to organize local politics, state politics, federal politics. And honestly, like at that time, I'd talk to local elected officials. I'd talk to state elected officials who would tell me, I'd love to help you, but I just don't have any immigrants in my district. And it's like, you're about to find out that is not, in fact, the case. And look, we had to, when he came down that golden escalator, that was the first time I ever thought, I am sick and tired of trying to explain the reality of folks in my community and folks in those elected officials' communities. And so I stepped up into electoral politics for the first time. Was working to get Bernie Sanders elected, was working to, after he ended his campaign, worked to get Hillary Clinton elected. And then we passed the Denver sanctuary policy in 2017. And that to me was the first indication post the first Trump election that, you know what, even though he had won, it didn't mean that organizing stopped. It didn't mean that we couldn't still fight to achieve concrete and lasting policy change to improve people's lives. And then 2 years later, I ran in that first blue wave in 2018 into the state Senate. And I'll be really honest, I ran in a 5-way race. A lot of people were like, there's no way an organizer can win. And we crushed it. And over the past 8 years, I've been really proud of what we've been able to accomplish.
So there is a little bit on your background that I'm actually very interested in finding out about. You brought up Bernie Sanders, and you were initially, a few months ago, you told the local news that you got elected to the state Senate thanks to the support from the Democratic Socialists of America, but your DSA membership has lapsed, as far as I understand. And when they asked you if you're philosophically a Democratic Socialist, you replied that you're a Democrat. Why did you leave the Democratic Socialists of America, and do you identify as a socialist?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that question, because when I first ran in 2018, DSA was newly organized, and I thought that they were doing an incredible job of organizing young people and inviting them to participate in politics in a very, very different kind of way. And we crushed it thanks to that support. I also believe as an organizer that it really matters to show up to sign on as a member, but then not show up to meetings, not participate in the actual work of the organization, does a disservice to the organization. And so I was a member for a year, but I'll also say I was completely overwhelmed as a state legislator who only at the time got like one legislative aide. And And the amount of work that we were navigating was overwhelming. And so my membership lapsed. I still believe I'm like philosophically aligned as a leftist, as a progressive. I carry a lot of like the democratic socialist values. And I think that we share that same level of analysis in terms of who are the folks who are rigging our economy and who are pitting people against one another. And how do we then go and do the work to advance the change that we all know that we need?
Okay. Your opponent, John Hickenlooper, was recently fined just $200 for delaying the disclosure of stock trading that netted him hundreds of thousands of dollars on a broadband company and thousands on Palantir stock. He sits on the Commerce Committee. He oversees broadband and telecom. Obviously, there's speculation that he's trading on non-publicly available information. Do you support banning congressional stock trading? If so, is it simply because you didn't buy the dip, even though John did? Or is it because you paper-handed and you sold too early and you weren't diamond handing?
I wish I had it to where I could like have enough money to go and do that. No,
You're saying you're broke.
I am broke. I know what it is to like live paycheck to paycheck. In the state Senate, I earn like $43,000 a year. Good times.
Damn.
Yeah. And so, look, John Hickenlooper came into the U.S. Senate with a estimated net worth of, I think, around $16 million. And now, as he is running for re-election and I'm primarying him, he is sitting at around $31 million.
Damn, he doubled up. It's been quite beneficial.
Must be nice.
He's just a really good stock trader.
Which is why I support not only a ban on insider trading, requiring those like stronger ethics and transparency reforms, but then also it's why I believe that there should not be a revolving door to shift from being a legislator to a lobbyist. It's why I believe that we should actually institute term limits.
I need to show something to you that you may or may not be familiar with. This is one of my favorite old clips.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh my God,
John Hickenlooper is a man with conviction. Okay, he's a man with conviction. Now, hear me out. He was so invested in the notion that fracking fluid was not destroying the natural water supply that he actually went and straight up drank fracking fluid to prove that point. Or, well, you know, that's the speculation. So, chat, can you guys find the clip of this for the record? I need to look at it again because are you willing to go to the distance? Will you drink fracking liquid?
I'm sorry,
to win this race.
If that's a requirement in order to serve in the U.S. Senate from Colorado, sorry, y'all, there's a hard line, right? But what's fascinating is that not only did John Hickenlooper write about this in his, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Not only has he talked about drinking fracking fluid, so too has Chris Wright, the energy secretary, who Hick voted to confirm.
Do you think there is it's like an Illuminati ritual where like if you're a real one, you have to do this? Like if you're gonna be in the pocket of big oil and gas and be invested in destroying the ecosystem, then you have to literally drink just a little bit of poison.
Sat down with
here, let's watch this real quick before you answer.
They have
maybe it'll change your answer if you watch him drink it.
Fluid that is made out of food additives. You can drink it. We did drink it around the table, almost ritual-like in a funny way. But it demonstrated that
it was like a pact,
not like a pact. It was a demonstration. A demonstration. We had environmental community representatives. We had industry representatives. Everybody around the table.
It's not on a.
Yeah. Wait, that's not the video. This is the video.
To your health.
Oh, this is Chris Wright.
The longer lives and healthier lives of billions of people around the world from oil and gas.
Cheers. Cheers.
This is the freakiest thing. How does that make you feel?
It is so cringe. It is so ugly to see people making light of a process that, first and foremost, is destroying our planet. I've also talked to the survivors of homes that have exploded due to being so close to where fracking is taking place in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken to those family members and survivors. And so to see them making light of a process that is destroying people and our planet in order to jack up their own personal profits is gross. And if that is what it takes in order to be inducted into the establishment, hard pass.
Okay. Hickenlooper has also spent his entire political career to the right of single payer. As governor, he helped tank Colorado's universal health care amendment in 2016. He then ran for president in 2019, declaring Democrats are not socialists and argued Medicare for all should not be a litmus test. He ran for Senate in 2020 on a public option that he openly framed as a substitute for Medicare for all, telling debate audiences single payer was an evolution, not a revolution that could take 15 years. As senator, he's never co-sponsored Bernie's Medicare for all. How do you envision implementing a system different from that of your opponent?
First and foremost, I show up and listen to people who oftentimes have either felt taken for granted by the party or not taken into account by the party at all, right? And as Hickenlooper has always been an executive, right? He was a business leader. He was an oil and gas executive, then a business leader, then mayor, then governor, then ran for president. Then when that didn't work out because he was out there telling people across the country that Americans did not want Medicare for all, Chuck Schumer then voluntold him to run for the U.S. Senate. There are clips of him from that first campaign saying, I'm not cut out to be in the Senate. But then he changed his tune and then ran. Look, at the end of the day, I think that no one is coming to save us but us. And so it requires a different approach to our politics. It requires showing up, listening to people, reminding them that we can have nice things if we're willing to stand up and fight for them.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of differences between you and Hickenlooper in terms of your attitude towards ICE as well. You already said that you want to abolish ICE. Hickenlooper's call for the overhaul of ICE, which I think is the wishy-washy focus-tested group that or focus group-tested messaging that centrist Democrats, corporate Democrats oftentimes deploy. But what do you think is the difference between your stances, and do you believe that ICE should be prosecuted, not just abolished, but prosecuted for their crimes?
So let me take a step back and just share that the year that I graduated from high school, I'm 43, the year that I graduated from high school in 2001 is when the DREAM Act was first introduced. The DREAM Act is now old enough to get a beer, and it is older than ICE. And so many of these establishment politicians love to just talk about like, oh no, but ICE is an important part of our federal government. No, it isn't. It is it is a system. It is an agency and department that has existed for less time than the solutions that we have known that we have needed for decades. The cruelty has always been the point when it comes to immigration and customs enforcement. And I have seen firsthand doing immigrant rights organizing for like 20 years, both out in community and now at the Capitol and in the state Senate, seeing how ICE lies. ICE lies to local law enforcement, to local elected officials, to state elected officials. They're lying to the American people. And then Hick's response is, well, let's just have them put on body cameras. And that will be the reforms that we need. Let's have them take off their masks.
They want to film the process to cut video footage anyway. As a matter of fact, the guy in one of the ICE agents that shot one of the civilians in Minneapolis, he had his phone out the one who shot Renee Good, he had his phone in one hand as he was like filming the footage. So it's clearly not a solution whatsoever. There needs to be accountability.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about abolishing ICE, replacing it with a system that works, breaking up the Department of Homeland Security, right? Because there is a whole history around how DHS and ICE specifically came to be. And that goes back to the fear mongering that took place in the aftermath of 9/11, right? Where all of a sudden you saw immigration and criminality being conflated, and every immigrant was a potential terrorist. Every immigrant was a potential criminal that needed to get weeded out. And ICE has been the police force to try to inflict as much harm as possible. And quite frankly, I've seen what happens to good people when they get swooped up and caught up in ICE's dragnet policies. I've seen inside of the detention center. I worked as a paralegal at an immigration and criminal defense firm for years, where we would witness the extent to which ICE would lie with impunity and then have to back off only after they got caught. I've been inside those detention centers. I've seen it firsthand.
So speaking of the detention centers, the ICE detention center run by GEO Group in Aurora holds over 1,500 inmates in what some reports describe as horrific conditions. There's moldy food. People earn $1 per day in this voluntary labor program. Do you view this labor program as a continuation of the carceral system that grew out of runaway slave catching? And do you believe private prisons should be abolished?
Let me tell you that story because I was a paralegal working alongside several of those immigrant detained clients who ended up being the lead plaintiffs in that litigation. And my homie David Seligman from Towards Justice, who's now running for Attorney General, and my bestie Hans Meyer, who was the immigration attorney who I worked alongside, were like the legal minds who understood that sometimes you need to file the litigation in order to create the political space to then force change. I'm so proud of the way that those detained clients said, I have nothing to lose. Let me go and try to advance this class action suit. A decade on, and that case is finally coming up for its day in court, and I couldn't be prouder. But what is also clear is that your connection to the runaway slave patrols and the attempts by ICE to force detained people to conduct labor that they should be paid for a thriving wage, a minimum wage at least, not $1 a day, at risk of being thrown into solitary confinement if they refused. Right, that is so closely related to the history of slavery in this country, the history of forced labor in this country, and it is why engaging in this work on many different fronts, whether it's organizing, whether it's legal, whether it's policy change, whether it's protest, all of those tools and tactics are needed in order to force that change to happen.
GEO Group wants to build a second detention center now and at the Old Hudson Correctional Facility on the Eastern Plains. When you're a U.S. Senator, how will you work to stop these new ICE detention facilities from springing up in your backyard?
Yeah, I'll say that Aurora, Colorado was the innovator. Back in 1987, actually, the GEO Group and the Aurora Detention Center was where for-profit immigration detention got its start. And so I feel like we have a responsibility in Colorado to end all of that private immigration detention, because what is clear is that at every single step of the immigration deportation machine, there's a profit motive that exists. Whether it's surveillance with corporations like Flock and Palantir, right, who are monetizing surveillance of all of us, whether it's the detention corporations that are profiting like Geo Group in Aurora, Core Civic, whether it's, Key Lime Air and the air companies and the bus companies who are profiting off of removal. When you actually strip out that profit motive, I was talking to my friend Chris Newman from Endelon, the National Day Laborers Organizing Network, and he was like, look, given this latest congressional spending budget approval, ICE now has more money funded to it per year than the IDF, right? And it's like, when you look at that level of resource that is being directed to inflict cruelty and pain so that corporations can profit, makes you ask the question, isn't there a better way? Couldn't we do things differently? Strip out that profit motive, ensure that people are treated with dignity and respect, ensure that there's enough immigration judges so that people don't have to wait, decades for their case to come up in court. We know what the solutions are, man. We just need to go and do the work and have leaders willing to stand up to ICE, say, hell no, abolish it, prosecute, break up DHS, and then do the work to build a system that works for us all.
Yeah. So you have a very interesting background and a personal experience with the criminal justice system as well. In 2019, you stood on the Colorado Senate floor and you told your colleagues that your own father-in-law had been murdered and his killer was never prosecuted, and said, even if they had caught him, that you couldn't support executing him. You came back the next year with a Republican co-sponsor and abolished Colorado's death penalty. Meanwhile, Trump's day one executive order, 14164, directs attorney generals to seek the death penalty for every capital crime committed by an undocumented immigrant. Will you co-sponsor Bernie and Ayanna Pressley's federal death penalty prohibition act? And what does federal abolition look like under a Trump Department of Justice that's specifically racializing who gets executed?
Oh my gosh. I will.
Can I give you some notes? I don't know what it is, but I'm seeing a lot of chatters, first of all, that don't know your background.
Sure.
That don't know the amount of time and effort that you've put in to all of these things that we're talking about. And you can start off by saying yes and then continue with the rest of because I know where you're coming from, but they don't. Yeah. And they're being dickheads right now. And I'm trying to, get them to chill the fuck out as well. But just you can start off with a yes. and then explain it, which I feel like would be a little bit, maybe would cause dummies in my community to be more understanding of where you're coming from.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the notes. And also I'm a person who likes to provide context because I think that so much of this work requires nuance. And so thank you. I'll say that, when I came into the legislature and I thought it was just immoral that the state could say that killing someone is wrong, and so we're going to punish you by killing you. I just thought that was hypocritical and immoral.
Yeah.
And so, but also I served alongside in the state Senate and in the state House, two people who had been directly impacted losing their sons to murder. And just having to sit with that, it taught me that sometimes there are issues that are very partisan, are very Democratic or Republican. And then there were also other policies that there wasn't a red-blue split, right? Like I worked alongside a Republican who grew up in the South and read Brian Stevenson's Just Mercy, and then was his mind was changed and said, this is wrong. And we were able to advance that policy to abolish the death penalty in Colorado with bipartisan support. It demonstrates that sometimes, when you actually do the work to listen to people, even I don't care who you voted for in the last election or how much money you got in your bank account or whatever, if you're willing to stand up and do the right thing, that matters. And so, thank you for asking about that, because it was the first time that it was the first big policy fight that I engaged in where you had to like really stop and listen. And especially so with people who had been impacted directly, you know, having their loved ones be murdered and then have to grapple with what does that look like to actually seek justice.
So you'll use the experience that you have to try to advance the Bernie and Ayanna Presley's federal death penalty prohibition act then?
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And
the last part of your question was about like,
what does it look like to work within the Trump DOJ? From your experience of you know, crafting bipartisan legislature.
Well, sir, have you yet received your administrative subpoena?
I have not.
I mean, that to me is, I don't mean to make light of it, right? But like, also, it's absurd, right? Like this DOJ is going and threatening people who it deems as targets, who it deems as threats, with the full weight and force of the federal government to come and try and target people, right?
And what it perceives as a threat, because like the reason why what they're trying to criminalize is obviously political dissent.
Absolutely.
What they're trying to abolish is the First Amendment. This is a very devastating precedent that they've set out to change. But the actions that they're trying to target in this circumstance is the delivery of humanitarian aid. I went to Cuba with not only a journalism visa, but also on a humanitarian aid mission. And because the administration is considered that the administration considers Cuba to be a state sponsor of terror, a ridiculous designation that I think is morally repugnant, and our actions are even worse than just that designation alone against the Cuban population. But they want their to be illegal somehow.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. No other country has this kind of rule or restriction against what people can and can't do in Cuba. Like if I'm a Canadian citizen, I'm a Turkish citizen as well, I'm a dual citizen. So if I went to Cuba as a Turkish citizen, I could do whatever I want. I could stay at whichever hotel I want, do whatever I want in Cuba. As an American citizen, I have these ridiculous restrictions, and it goes unnoticed. And I hope that people will see this as a moment and really reconsider their lack of interest in what we've done to these other countries, including Cuba.
You know, part of what I wanted to take sort of 2 points of what you said. One around, you know, how to advance abolition or criminal justice reform policies in the context of the Trump administration, when the Trump administration is acting with impunity and threatening to go after its perceived threats, right? I will just say that, I mean, there's only one person who's a 34-time convicted felon, right? And he's the president of the United States, full stop. So he should know he should know, understand, and recognize the importance of
leniency,
criminal justice reform, clemency, right? Like the rule of law. That I'm going to set that aside for a second, though, and talk about Cuba and how this all fits in to this politics that has resulted in endless wars, right? Because I do think that actually the two things are connected. And we saw, right, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio, another person that Hickenlooper voted to confirm, played this game of regime change first in Venezuela. Instead of declaring an act of war and starting there, they used some sort of trumped up drug charges and engaged in that with a quickness. I think they thought that they were going to play the same playbook in Iran. Yeah. And it's clear that that has not worked. There was no plan to get in, get out. There was no justification to begin this war in the first place. And there's clearly, when we're spending $1 billion a day, no plan to get us out. But then you see that they are now setting up what is going to be the thing after we end the war in Iran, because that's not going well. And it looks like it's going to be Cuba.
Secure a quick victory in Cuba in the same way that that they perceive what they did in Venezuela to be a victory as well. Yeah, it's horrifying, and how little we care about other human beings is shocking to me. Even though I know the depravity of the American state at times, especially as it pertains to foreign policy.
Yeah.
But we were talking about clemency, and
yeah,
criminal
yeah.
justice reform. Well, your state of Colorado has a governor and a former r/neoliberalism moderator, Jared Polis. He granted clemency to Tina Peters, a former county clerk who was serving a prison sentence after being convicted of allowing unauthorized access to voting machines in the aftermath of the 2020 election. The Colorado Dems censured him. He came back today, I think, with a tape over his mouth in one of the Zoom sessions that they were doing. What's your personal take on the situation as someone who is invested in criminal justice reform? Do you believe Tina Peters was simply a patriot trying to unrig the 2020 election?
Dude. Okay. Jared Polis is a multimillionaire who thinks that he is always the smartest person in the room. Look, when he first ran, I was so excited about his candidacy and campaign because he was talking about being a champion on immigrant rights. He was talking about being a champion on cannabis legislation. And I was like really excited about that, right? Someone who couldn't be bought by the corporate lobby, right? Like, and now 8 years on, a new governor can't come quick enough. And what has been incredibly frustrating, right? Tina Peters was a Republican clerk and recorder who got sucked into the Trump big lie. And she committed multiple felonies and misdemeanors and was prosecuted in one of the most Republican counties in the state of Colorado and convicted by a jury of her peers. For Jared Polis to then go and say, and for months hold on anybody being able to access clemency or pardons in order to wait until 2 days after our legislative session concluded to then drop this. I think that he called Lauren Boebert before he called Democrats, right, to let them know.
Bipartisanship.
God. And now that I was one of the 700 Democrats who said, hell no, he needs to be held to account and recommended his censure. And
he's a political prisoner now because of you.
Oh my gosh. Don't threaten him with a good time. But genuinely, it is when men who have incredible amounts of personal wealth finally find out the consequences of their actions, and then they act as if they are being targeted and persecuted. Come on. He is suffering the consequences of his own actions. And here we are, right?
Don't you feel like
Also,
he's faced tremendous adversity as a Redditor, though? As a person who was a moderator of the r/neoliberalism subreddit?
that man has never had a boss in his entire life. I feel zero empathy for him and his millions and millions of dollars. He can wipe away his tears with that money and be held to account for his consequence. What I worry, though, is that he is trying to set himself up for some sort of political encore after being in after serving as our governor. And all I can tell you, man, is that not only on this issue, he has vetoed already once and is threatening to veto a second time the Worker Protection Act, which would make it easier in Colorado for workers to unionize. He is, I know, super, like, so oppressed.
Drama queen. Drama queen.
Like, miss me with that. Sorry. And look, not only on this, around clemency for Tina Peters, threatening to veto the Worker Protection Act, which is the main priority of labor unions in the state of Colorado. He also rolled out the welcome carpet for Palantir to come to Colorado. Look, I worked on a bill to require that ICE goes and gets a warrant before they can access Coloradans' personal identifying information. 6 weeks after he signed that bill into law, he then tried to direct his own agencies in the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment to comply with the ICE administrative subpoena. And a whistleblower took him to court. I had to testify in that case to tell the judge about the intent of our law and why it was clear that Jared Polis, our dear governor, was trying to subvert the intent and the plain text of the statute that we wrote.
Yeah, he's terrible. But I think like Jared Polis and Hickenlooper are of the same, cut from the same cloth, very wealthy dudes, very out of touch. And on top of that, like they might have some redeemable qualities every now and then in office, like, but ultimately their output broadly is not ever going to center the working class in Colorado. And one of the examples that I would like to use now is Hickenlooper has taken over $270,000 from AIPAC-aligned donors since his bid to become senator in his 2020 campaign. You've called AIPAC support for Hickenlooper repulsive and immoral. You've said you take zero corporate PAC dollars, $0 from AIPAC in particular. Why do you hate AIPAC so much? Do you not want my favorite emotional support apartheid state's voice to be heard and represented adequately in American Congress?
Look, there is so much money infecting our politics right now. I think that we ought to, I think that the Democratic Party needs to stop being the like Diet Coke version of being bought and sold to dark money, full stop. And I also think that the way that AIPAC is going about its donations to support candidates is repulsive. I take zero AIPAC dollars, and I think that instead we should all work together to ensure the safety, security, and self-determination of all people who are living in Gaza right now. Like that to me is the path forward. But what is clear is that instead, AIPAC pushes a politics that makes it easier for politicians to just shut up and say nothing than to speak out when there are war crimes playing out on our phones that we can all witness. When there is a genocide that is taking place, and if you don't believe me, look at where Amnesty International, look at where the International Consortium of Genocide Scholars.
I can't hear you. Actually, again, you're bringing up these things, but this is hurting my feelings.
I'm sorry.
And my feelings are much more important than the safety and security of millions of Palestinians. What do you have to say to that?
This isn't about your feelings. Sorry. Let us actually ground ourselves in the lived experiences and the harm that Palestinians, and also, I will also say that there are plenty of Israelis who are also as viciously critical of the Netanyahu government's actions. Look,
Israel is a small nation. Israel, small nation, size of New Jersey.
And
I rest my case.
Feelings about the dark money that is impacting our politics cannot carry over the day. We're in a real inflection point right now, I think, as a Democratic Party, as to who we are going to be and who we are going to fight for. And I am trying to do the work to return Colorado and the American politics to being by, for, and of working people.
Will you sign on to Block the Bombs Act?
Yes.
Do you support defensive aid to Israel like the Iron Dome?
Look, on this, I do support the safety and the security and the self-determination of all people. But I also think that in this moment, when Israel has broken and demonstrated its inability to actually protect human rights and is committing genocide, then they no longer should receive any aid from the U.S. government. Full stop. And they have also said that it's time. The Netanyahu administration has said,
yeah,
it's time for them.
I don't really care about their perspective on this, because I will say, much like with ICE, I am personally not only in favor of ending aid, but also an arms embargo in general.
True.
And also to hold Israel accountable, not only to restrain Israel, but to hold Israel accountable in the Court of International Law. And I feel like that's a conversation that gets lost in this circumstance. Like the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is in favor of also ending aid. I mean, he's been saying that since 1994, I believe. So it's irrelevant. It's immaterial to the conversation.
But also, AIPAC and the politicians that they buy then go and say, well, even though for damn near 20 years or just over 20 years, the Israeli government has said, we no longer need that support. We should end that support. They are still going and providing millions of dollars of aid. Then we wonder why we can't have nice things. We ought to instead invest those dollars here at home, right?
Yeah.
To advance Medicare for all, to advance affordable housing, to do that work.
Will you advocate for a single democratic state with equal rights for all?
Look, I feel like I need to allow for those conversations to happen in a way where Palestinians and Israelis and everybody who's living in
But what would be
Gaza,
your perspective?
I think that they need to figure out what that self-determination looks like for them.
Okay.
If that means that Palestinians decide that they want support from the U.S. government to rebuild, that's something that we should absolutely, as the United States government, help to fund because we were complicit in that destruction, right? What I believe as a Chicana, as someone who has witnessed borders crossing over and turning my ancestors into U.S. citizens overnight, right? After the consequence of a war. I know what that feels like. And I feel like for myself, I should not be saying, here's what I am going to inflict upon people in a land that I've never lived in. But I want to ensure that they can make those decisions for themselves, rooted in their own justice and humanity.
Okay. In April 2026, at about 4 months into you participating in this race, Hickenlooper came out and had a change of heart.
Oh.
For the first time, he finally voted yes on Bernie's resolutions to block the bulldozer and 1,000-pound bomb sales. The same kinds of resolutions that he had voted against in 2024 and again last summer. Do you believe that John Hickenlooper has finally had a change of heart? Or do you feel like your primary challenge actually forced him to reevaluate his voting record on this?
I think this is an incredible demonstration of why primaries matter. Because I think had I not been in this primary race, he would have never had to even think about it, never had to consider it. And so absolutely, I don't think that this was somehow some sort of moral shift on his part. I think it was pure politics in order to try to take that issue off the table.
Yeah. Here's an issue you can't take off the table. In October 2025, Hickenlooper voted to give the Department of War $925 billion, which was $32 billion more than they even requested. It's good on them to offer a little tip on the top. That's Pete Hegseth's Department of War. In the months that followed, the U.S. bombed Venezuela, kidnapped its leader, and is now wasting around $1 billion per day by conservative estimates, dropping Tomahawk missiles on children's schools in Iran. If you're elected as senator, how would you spend $1 billion per day to improve the lives of folks here in the United States of America, even if it's the least patriotic thing you could possibly do?
I mean, budgets are moral documents. And when we are measuring the health and well-being of our economy by what the oligarchs and what the NASDAQ stock market is telling us, as opposed to judging the well-being of our society by how we take care of our babies and our elders, I would invest $1 billion a day instead of bombing other people's babies and elders. I'd put that money here, invest that in universal child and elder care.
In a ballroom?
only in a ballroom. Clearly.
How about 2 ballrooms?
Can we do 3?
Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Sweet.
You heard that, right? Donald Trump, stop trying to prosecute me. We are in favor of multiple ballrooms. Have a ballroom for your other ballroom.
Each direction. We can have one on the north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, put a ballroom everywhere.
Oh my God.
That's what I say.
Oh my God.
Potentially, millions of your constituents work jobs that are susceptible to being replaced by AI. What's your vision to protect families in Colorado and or all around the United States from losing their careers to some chatbots that make Silicon Valley tech bros even richer and even more annoying? Would you support an AI data center moratorium?
Yes. And Colorado was one of the first states in the country to take up AI regulation because Congress couldn't get its shit together. They were doing the absolute least. So Colorado stepped up and put forward regulations to say, look, there are protections in place if you are discriminated against, if you're discriminated by a human being. But there were no protections in place if you had been discriminated against by an AI chatbot, right? So like we put those protections in place. And I have to be really honest, the AI lobby lost their ever-loving minds about it and worked. And then actually Elon Musk earlier this year sued Colorado based on that law from 2 years ago. And it forced us to shift a lot of the regulations that we had put forward. At the end of the day, I do believe that AI needs to be regulated at the federal level. That is the path forward, as opposed to creating a patchwork of different regulations across the country. But on top of that, you also have this proliferation of data centers across the state of Colorado. There's one in my Senate district, CoreSite, has come up and is being built literally across the street from a senior living facility. Their diesel backup generators are across the street, and like you cannot get closer to them from the front entrance to this senior living facility. And it's like,
well, they don't have much time anyway.
Jesus, man, that's dark.
But that was probably what they were thinking when they put it there.
It's just like, it's ugly to see how far these corporations are willing to go in order to try to just extract profit. I don't know if you know this, but Colorado is in a super devastating drought right now. And the amount of water that these data centers would utilize really threatens already the real precarious balance of the Colorado River. And who's going to pay for the electricity upgrades? It's going to be all of the taxpayers, all the ratepayers, right? And so there were.
But don't you think it's good if people pay more for their electricity just so we can have the ugliest art anyone's ever seen?
Support local artists.
Do you not feel like that's an adequate trade-off?
Sorry, that's not a thing.
I'm working on a project where I'm recreating the Car cinematic universe. So I need AI.
I love that
it.
for you. Can I just say?
I also personally love being watched. I'm into voyeurism, so it's also very cool that there's constant surveillance taking place. And that's something I personally enjoy, and I think other people should get used to it.
Well,
what do you have to say to
maybe
that?
You too, along with the executives at Palantir, would find a welcome Matt out to donate to John Hickenlooper's campaign.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, he was being supported by those surveillance companies, by those AI companies, and until the folks at Purge Palantir called him out, then he was like, oh, my bad. I actually still don't know if he's actually returned those contributions or given them to immigrant rights organizations or what have you. But he is exceptionally good at doing the absolute least until he's called out for it and then being like, oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, I would just say that these data centers are brutal. They are devastating people and our planet. And that neighborhood that they have chosen to build their data center in, community, that neighborhood, Global Elyria Swansea, shout out to the north side. They are already one of the most polluted zip codes in the entire country. They are just downwind of Suncor, which is a oil manufacturing and oil refinery that provides a lot of the jet fuel for Denver International Airport, right? And so to see the way that poor communities of color, continue to get impacted by the old energy, the energy of the old, like in terms of oil and gas refineries, and then also these data centers is just exhausting. And it got so bad that there was a community meeting that CoreSite, this data center corporation, realized that community was going to show up to. And so they dropped out the morning of the meeting. And there were hundreds of people demanding answers about what this data center was going to do, who was going to pay for it, and what their plans in terms of electricity and water and all these things were going to be. And CoreSite's answer was, never mind. And so just actually last week, Denver City Council advanced a 1-year moratorium on data centers, which shout out to Sunrise, shout out to GES Coalition, shout out to all the local organizers who made that moratorium happen. And also 1 year is not enough, right? And we've seen these corporations pit local communities against local communities. That's why I support Bernie Sanders' moratorium on data centers altogether, till we can actually understand what is going to be the environmental implication and how do we regulate the AI that is producing the slop that is just pickling our brains.
Okay. Speaking of pickled brains, you've been critical of Chuck Schumer's leadership in the Senate. Do you think it's finally time for him to run for president, or is he not old enough just yet?
I think he's got to wait another couple of terms, actually. But I think that that's a good goal. If he just keeps at it. No, man, honestly, he is Chuck Schumer is a huge part of why Americans can't have nice things. He has effectively managed our descent into fascism instead of doing the work to listen to the rage of the base and actually build an opposition party to this MAGA extremism. He's instead just engaged in the politics of go along to get along, poll-tested politics that results in nothing happening. And the billionaires and the corporations that they control raking in the corporate profits while they still can. I wouldn't support Chuck Schumer to continue on as the Democratic leader. And I think that also with Amy Klobuchar and Dick Durbin stepping aside, that there's a real opportunity for an entire new generation of Senate Democratic leadership that can actually divest us from our addiction to corporate PAC money and actually return us to being a party for the working people.
All right. I got two last questions for you.
And I have a question for you as well.
All right, perfect. Well, me first.
Okay.
This is the Zoran method. He was able to define his own campaign by 5 easy to identify policies. I think this is a very successful way to go about it. What are your top 5 priorities for Colorado, and how would you go about implementing them?
All right. Medicare for all, universal child and elder care, abolish ICE, get dark money and corporate PAC money out of our politics, and housing first.
Okay, that was great. All right, now your question before we get into the rapid fire round.
Okay, here's my question.
All right.
Are you a DSA member?
I'm not.
Okay. How do you identify?
Well, there's a couple different reasons why I say I'm organization agnostic. I work with DSA the most out of any organization. But I'm not a paying member of the Democratic Socialists of America. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want, I say a lot of stuff, and sometimes it can potentially impact the way an organization is seen by outsiders. Like even with the subpoena, Fox News reported me as a DSA member and as a headlining member of the DSA.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid things like that. That's part of the reason. I mean, I love the Democratic Socialists of America.
Me too. Me too.
And they're amazing. I mean, I have this was a custom made Denver DSA hat that I got.
Malat, shout out.
Yeah, that I wear everywhere. And that's the only reason. But I work closely with the DSA probably the most. But I'm org agnostic, like PSL, DSA, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I just want to step back from that because it was one of the earlier questions that you'd asked me is like, are you a member and why did you let your membership lapse? Like, I'll just be really honest. Like, I did a lot of organizing work for years. And like being a member of an organization is something that I take really seriously. And like, I don't want to be a member in name only and then not show up and then participate, right? Like I am values aligned. I also was a founding member of Working Families Party, but like now as an elected official, like I've stepped back from that. But now I'm endorsed by Working Families Party. Like I'm endorsed by Sunrise. I'm endorsed by the AFL-CIO and Rocky Mountain Equality Action Fund and like a whole constellation, right, of progressive and leftist local and state elected officials, right? Like, I really appreciate that. Like you being willing to like understand how your positionality within a broader movement matters, right? And like we have to treat that with the nuance that it requires. And
I do
it deserves.
identify as a socialist, though. That's I mean, I'm very open about that.
Yeah.
I don't even mind being called a communist, even though I don't know if I would be considered a communist regardless. So that's like my reasoning for DSA is not like ideological. I love the Democratic Socialists. They're great.
Yeah. And I do too. Like they're, I think, doing beautiful, powerful work of reminding folks who have been left out of the party. Like I'll say, like as a Latina, as a Chicana, right? Like for a long time, the Democratic Party treated folks in my community like just base voters that we just had to be reminded to go and get out the vote. When like, actually, the Republican Party and especially MAGA extremists have been going and targeting and actually trying to persuade Latino men, especially, right, to go and leave the Democratic Party and adopt that MAGA extremist vibe. And I think that DSA, Working Families Party, Sunrise, like those organizations are doing beautiful work to remind folks we don't have to settle for crumbs. We can actually live our values and we can actually have nice things if we're willing to stand up and fight for them. And so I take that like perspective as an organizer and as a member of a broader movement, right? Really seriously and think of it matters. And so I don't know. I really appreciate you being willing to chat about that with me.
Yeah. All right. Rapid fire questions before I let you go. And thank you so much for taking time out.
Absolutely.
Are you in favor of Medicare for all?
Yes.
Universal child care?
Yes.
Abolishing and prosecuting ICE?
Yes.
Abolishing private prisons?
Yes.
Raising taxes on billionaires?
Hell yes.
Raising the minimum wage?
Absolutely. Thriving wage.
Implementing the Green New Deal?
Yes.
Ending Citizens United?
Yes.
Banning congressional stock trading?
Yes.
Hickenlooper's not going to like that. Ending America's embargo on Cuba?
Yes.
Ending America's war on Iran?
Yes.
Ending aid to Israel?
Yes.
A free Palestine?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Julie Gonzalez, everybody. For people that are hearing you for the first time today, what do you want them to understand about your convictions and how can people contribute to your campaign, both inside of Colorado and outside?
Absolutely. Look, whether it's been in people's living rooms as they're like taking the first steps towards getting involved and getting organized for the first time, whether that has been in the halls of power, it's real clear, dude. Nobody's coming to save us but us. And so the work that we all are collectively doing to remind people that we can have nice things if we're willing to stand up and fight for them. That's the work. That's the work of this campaign. We've gone around, and I'll just be really honest. I first started thinking about challenging John Hickenlooper immediately in the aftermath of the passage of H.R. 1 last summer, when we got dragged back into a special session where we had to cut $1 billion from our state budget. And I'll say 2/3 of our schools our school districts in Colorado are already on 4-day school weeks. We don't have enough money to keep the lights on 5 days a week for our classrooms. And I thought, like, oh, but it won't be possible. It won't be possible. The establishment is going to be too big. And then 2 things happened. 1, Zoran won in New York, and 2, the MAGA extremists in the Aurora City Council got kicked to the curb. Even though those MAGA extremists were funded here and the community-centered progressive candidates were funded here, they out-organized and outworked, and they swept those elections. Same thing was true in city council races and school board races across Colorado, where you had like Moms for Liberty school board candidates trying to run to ban books instead of, making sure that kids had the education and support to be able to read them, and
that's what kids need more, less books.
There you go. You go. Problem solved, right? Like, oh, we don't want to actually fund our schools. Let's just have your resources.
I feel like the next gen is going to be illiterate at this point.
It's brutal. And so after that victory took place, that's when I was like, you know what? Not only like should I not be afraid by the fact that Hickenlooper has tons of money in the bank and is also personally incredibly wealthy, I shouldn't allow that thing to scare us, because if we don't do it, who will? Yeah. Right? And so before I let you go, I also have a couple of things that I want to share with you.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
I love gifts.
Yay.
Okay. How do I do this? You just pull it open. Yep. There you go. Okay, they got some gifts coming in. Ask about the nails. Okay, yeah, you got to also show chat your nails because they want to see them before you go.
Absolutely. Okay, I come bearing gifts.
Okay.
And I'm so grateful for the gifts that you shared. Let me explain. This is the Julie Gonzalez for U.S. Senate.
Beautiful.
And Abolish ICE. Now, I want to explain first the hummingbird, which is part of our logo. In Mexica culture, Huitzilopochtli is the god of war, and warriors are reincarnated as hummingbirds. A. B. Hummingbirds also migrate vast distances, and they take different routes when they're traveling north and then when they're traveling south. And so I wanted to remind folks that migration is natural. And so that's why we do the hummingbird. We made out of one of our campaign t-shirts, we made a bandana for your dog, but I think she
might be a little too big.
Yes, I have Shih Tzus, so
yeah, no,
I apologize.
Probably not
my size. I was backwards.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
This is one of the other amazing, incredible organizations organizing young people, New Era Colorado Action Fund, Tax the Rich Fucker, and I like to make billionaires cry. So, with love from the crew at New Era.
By telling them heartfelt stories.
There you go.
Okay. Whoa.
Democracy needs immigrants. I got trained up to understand how to run for office or how to be a political worker through New American Leaders Action Fund. There are 2 buttons. One from my campaign and the other, always trust Black women. Nobody is free until everybody is free. Fannie Lou Hamer. And then, because there is so much toxicity and vitriol and pain in this world, I bring you some sage because may it be cleansing for you. May it always be a reminder of the good work that we all are trying to do, even in the midst of great challenge and crisis.
Okay,
Thank you for that. This is, have you burned sage before?
My mom does, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as a Chicana, like we've been using lots of sage in my life. Jessie Broom is an incredible artist in Colorado. Not only did she design our campaign logo, she also designed these beautiful stickers. Do you know Blucifer at
the airport, right?
Yeah.
The freakish horse, the scary horse.
So the story of Blucifer, who P.S. is patron saint of Denver and the international airport, Blucifer killed his artist.
That's
his
what
creator.
I've heard. Yeah, he's got bad vibes.
So you gotta ask for Blucifer's blessings whenever you travel.
Okay.
For smooth travels at DIA. Last two things. My husband, Ben, shout out, babe. He organizes La Raza Park Day, which used to be called, it's a park in the north side that used to be called Columbus Park, if you can believe it. Even though that neighborhood, which had been Italian, had been Chicano for a long, long, long time, everybody called it La Raza Park. We actually fought to rename the park as La Raza Park, and then my husband organizes La Raza Park Day. And so on the front, you can see.
And then on the back.
Solidarity, you love to see it. So my husband has a Cadillac. You can see it in the launch video. It's the green Cadillac Calais. And so he's like big. We met like I was doing political organizing. He was doing.
And you saw the Cadillac and you were like, I'm smitten.
Like, absolutely. And he was doing I was doing political organizing. He was organizing like art shows, hip hop shows, organizing like culture. And dude, as much as political organizing is complicated, organizing artists, whole other world. Shout out, babe, I love you. And then this is from Chris Newman over at Endelon. They're doing the National Day Laborers Organizing work. National Day Laborers Organizing Network is doing all of the ICE out of LA organizing. And,
hell yeah.
You know, he wanted to make sure that you had that to keep us all safe. ICE, you should put ICE, DOJ,
yeah,
all of them.
I don't know if they'll listen to that sign, but we'll see.
Constitution protects us all. Ask, know your right. Have you done a know your rights training real quick?
Yeah.
You know, hey, am I free to leave or am I being detained? If you're free to leave,
I have been
bounce.
detained by Customs and Border Patrol before.
Then you already know, man. Yeah. You don't say anything other than your full name and your date of birth. That is it.
Yeah, I need that. I need one for Fox News. Get Fox News off my property.
Shoot, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you want to see these nails?
Yes, please show them.
All right. What do I do? I'll just show them here.
We'll do a closer camera.
And I'll say shout out to like on Instagram, Nayeli's Pretty Sets. She hooked it up. She is a Chicana nail artist in the Denver area, and she is just brilliant. So she put my campaign logo. She also put the mountains on my campaign logo is actually the mountains in southern Colorado where my family's from, where we go back generations.
They want you to get closer. You got to get closer.
Shoot. All right,
just get right up in there. It'll. Oh,
maybe.
Yeah,
there you go.
No, you can get closer now. It'll focus.
Hi. Okay, so. My family goes back generations down in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in Gardner, Colorado. That's where my people are. Let's see. I had a loteria card here. I'm sorry, I snagged it on something, so don't look at that one. We got a rose. We've got some pinstriping, lowrider pinstriping here. We've got the Corazón Sagrado here. And then we've got a cactus. And then the hummingbird here. And then we've got some Talavera inspired chrome here. And then local Denver artist Rob Yancey built me this beautiful piece. So, you know, I'm ready for a fight.
Hell yeah. All right. Julie Gonzalez, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate
this
you.
This was wonderful.
This is beautiful. Thank you. Thanks everybody in the chat for also doing y'all's thing. It's beautiful to see. It's kind of overwhelming to see, if I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah. All right. You were great. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, chat. I'm going to get back to the video that we were watching. I'm going to take a photo with them, and then I'll be back in a second. Okay?
Damn, this guy's good.